Immortal Cultivation family, starting with extreme effort to gain experience. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 The Demon Sex Visitors. Late at night, Lu Yao is in the courtyard comprehending the second-level spell he had just obtained. He put the teaching jade slip in his storage bag and had not yet studied it. He did not even know the spell formula of the wind-shocking curse. At this time, watching the teaching of the perfect foundation-building cultivator was no less than a cow chewing a peony. It would only waste this learning opportunity. Generally speaking, the learning threshold of the wind-shocking curse is relatively not too high. And compared with the extremely high requirements of other second-level spells for mana, the mana consumption of the wind-shocking curse is something that even ordinary late-stage key training can afford. This wind-shocking curse does not require hand seals when performing it. It only needs to be performed with a formula and the corresponding mana. No wonder it is known for its speed. Lu Ya's face was delighted, which meant that in actual combat, the effect of the wind-shocking curse would be very powerful, especially when he was still a key training cultivator. There will be one more task every day in the future, but I like it, he exhaled with satisfaction. Since crossing over, Lu Ya's life has been packed with him. He meditates and practices ki every day, and practices spells, etc., and he hardly has a moment of rest. Especially after the resources improved, he practiced crazily every day. Otherwise, how could he be promoted to the 8th level of key training so quickly and upgrade all kinds of spells to the maximum level? Lu Ya instinctively opened the skill panel, which had almost become his instinct. Name, Lu Yan. Lifespan, 20/96 years old. Realm, 8th level of key training. 47/100. Skills, Great Mastery of Chong Chun Kung Fu. 3552/5000. Skills, Fire Control Technique. 29852/200000. Great Mastery of Cleansing Technique. 1218, 5000. Peak of Golden Sword Key. 50000/50000. Peak of Body Protection Aura. 38971, 50000. Peak of Earth Spike. 42556, 50000. Peak of Splitting Peak Fist. 50000/50000. Peak of Splitting Peak Knife Technique. 37547, 50000. Peak of Exorcism Technique. 19024, 50000. Peak of Breath Containment Technique. 36982 50,000 Illumination Technique Peak. 24555, 50000. Object Control Technique Peak. 9472/50000. Zhuanyang Yi Qiju Great Success. 28874, 50000. Ice Cone Technique Great Success. 3298/5000. Fire Snake Technique Great Success. 4110/5000. Palm Thunder Technique Great Success. 3587, 5000. Wind Control Technique Great Success. 1922, 5000. Ice Arrow Technique Minor Success. 351, 2000. Magical Powers, None Golden Sword Key and Fist Technique have reached the limit of improvement, but there is still room for improvement in Sword Technique and Zhuanyang Yi Qiju. Next, I will upgrade these two to the maximum level. Wind Control Technique must also be improved quickly, and it would be best if it can be upgraded to the Transformation Realm during the key training period. There is also the Body Protection Aura and Breath Containment Technique. These two, one for protection and the other for concealment, cannot be left behind. Lu Ya sighed. Time is running out. Although he has a skill panel, he can gain experience and improve by practicing. But this is not obtained for no reason. He needs to practice again and again to gain experience, and these spells require him to spend a lot of time. At this point, Lu Ya has to focus on something. It is really impossible for him to grasp everything at once. First, practice the wind control technique to the peak, and then learn the wind-shocking spell. The efficiency should be higher. Lu Ya almost consumed his mana in the small courtyard, and then turned back to the house to meditate and practice. He practiced while waiting for the auction on the 15th of next month. In the end, The auction did not come, but the news that the entire Lu family did not want to hear the most came. On this morning, a letter from Shaoshan City arrived at the Lu family. In the Lu family meeting hall, all the members sat upright with serious faces. Lu Dingbo and Lu Dinghe sat at the top, and Lu Ya sat on the right of his uncle Lu Feng. Lu Dingbo looked at the family members, took a deep breath, and slowly said, "The triennial tribute time has come again. The envoys from the Yin-Yang Holy Sect will arrive at our Lu clan soon." In the letter, the city lord's mansion of Shaoshan City has issued an order to entertain the Yin-Yang Holy Sect envoys well and not to be negligent. If you anger the Holy Sect envoys, you will bear the consequences. In Lu Ya's memory, every tribute was a harm to the Lu family. Not only was it a loss of resources, but also a psychological trauma. In front of the high and mighty Yin-Yang demon sect envoys, they didn't care about the life and death of a group of key training monks. In his memory, there was a time when the entire Yankee domain suffered a drought, the spiritual fields were almost out of production, and the family was in danger. No matter how much the patriarch begged, he still couldn't get a trace of sympathy from the Yin-Yang demon sect, and the tribute was still 70%. If the tribute could not be paid on time, then the entire Lu family would have to bear the wrath of the Holy Sect. As a last resort, the clan leader at that time had to sell a magic weapon left by his ancestors, which saved the family from being wiped out. This kind of thing happened after Lu Yer was born, and before he was born. Knock knock knock, Lu Dingbo tapped the table in front of him with his index finger, and the heavy and crisp sound of the impact stopped the clan members who were talking. There are a few points that you must remember. First, the Zhou family was wiped out by monsters. What kind of monsters? Our Lu family has no idea. Secondly, your third uncle third grandfather Lu Dinghe has disappeared in an activity to clear the surrounding monsters, and his life and death are still unknown. From now on, show me your worst state, try to be weak, and keep the fluctuation of mana low. It's good to do this to Liu. Remember it first. After the people from the Holy Sect leave, I will reward you with 2 kilograms of second-level beast meat. Lu Dingbo finished speaking one by one, and casually praised Liu. Finally, remember that the most outstanding descendant of our Lu family is Lu Yang. Do you understand? Understood, Lu Yang and the clan members answered loudly together. He fully understood what the clan leader said. On the one hand, the Zhou family needed to be cleared of suspicion of exterminating the clan. It was not because they were afraid of being punished by the Yin-Yang demon sect because of the family struggle, but because they were afraid of the anger of the demon sect caused by the extermination of one party due to the family struggle and the failure to pay tribute on time. The former was commonplace for the demon sect, but the latter was unbearable. On the other hand, the Lu family needed to show weakness to the enemy appropriately. Lu Dinghe, who had just established his foundation, and the genius Lu Ya could not be exposed to the eyes of the Yin-Yang demon sect otherwise, there was a high probability that they would be suppressed by the Yin-Yang demon sect. The Yin-Yang demon sect had ruled the Yankee domain for many years, and had been rampant for many years. The killings and exterminations caused during this period were countless. They could not guarantee whether the forces under their rule had resentment against their own sect, and the best way was to kill them. If they wanted to change such a fate, they had to either completely surrender to the Yin-Yang demon sect or keep it secret. When they had enough strength, they would naturally not be afraid of the envoys of the Yin-Yang demon sect. As for the Yin-Yang demon sect sending out high-end combat forces to carry out a devastating attack at that time, Lu Dinghe's original words were, "Such a large sect should have some face under the sun." When they were weak, they were wiped out at will, and no one knew or complained, but when they grew up thoroughly, they could no longer be killed so easily. The response strategy was decided, and everyone began to implement it. Less than 3 days after the implementation, the people from the Yin-Yang demon sect arrived. All family members below, come out and quickly stand in the open space under my feet. The voice contained great magic power, which spread throughout the entire Lu clan. Lu Yer felt the wave sweeping over his body, and his face changed slightly. Fortunately, he always used the breath-holding technique to maintain the strength of the 5th level of key training. Otherwise his cultivation would be completely exposed with just this sudden wave of spiritual consciousness scanning. Pushing open the door, Lu Ya looked up and saw 2 figures standing in the air above the Lu clan. After walking out of the courtyard, Lu Ya and Lu Yang, who also walked out of the courtyard, looked at each other, and both of them rushed to the location of the demon sect envoy with solemn faces. Soon, all 45 Lu family monks gathered in the open space below the demon sect envoy. Looking at the Lu family members below who looked restrained and had low magic power, Wang Yu, an inner disciple of the yin-yang demon sect, was full of disdain. If it weren't for the fact that his little sister wanted to go out for a tour, he would never take on this hard work of collecting tribute everywhere. However, during this period of time, he really experienced the joy of being a master from his little sister. Thinking of this, he turned his eyes to the little sister beside him with a burning gaze. If it weren't for the people below getting in the way, he would definitely tear the coldness on her face and the reservedness in her body to pieces. He didn't mind having sex in public, but it would always be troublesome to kill them afterwards. Thinking of this, Wang Yu slowly landed in front of everyone with his little sister. Lu Ya saw that he had an undisguised coldness on his face, and he looked up at the sky. He is indeed a disciple of a great sect, Lu Ya thought to himself. But this female disciple of the yin-yang demon sect is really amazing. Lu Ya looked at the little sister next to Wang Yu, and saw that she had a cold face, delicate face, thin waist and long legs, long black hair casually draped over her shoulders. And she was wearing an extremely cold plain palace dress, and her figure was graceful under the palace dress. Hiss, this temperament, this face, and these two great truths that are about to come out, this kind of scene can't really be seen in this world without spending money. Lu Yu took a breath of cold air. Even though he had experienced the baptism of a huge amount of short videos in his previous life, and he claimed that his aesthetic threshold was much higher than that of people in this world, after seeing this female cultivator of the yin-yang demon sect, he still couldn't help but feel a sense of amazement, and even had the idea of executing her on the spot. As soon as this thought came up, his consciousness seemed to be burned by flames. He woke up suddenly, and cold sweat instantly wet his back. It's too scary. I almost fell into it just by looking at it for a second. Is this the legendary charm technique? Lu Ya hurriedly lowered his head and looked around secretly. He saw that all his family members looked lost and stared at the witch in a daze. If it weren't for my advanced fire control technique and a trace of spiritual flame stored in my consciousness, I'm afraid I would be like my family members, dazed and without the slightest resistance. Humph! A cold snort exploded in Lu Ya's ears like thunder, and everyone present woke up from the charm one after another, their faces pale, and some with low cultivation puff spit out a mouthful of blood. Saint Envoy, please forgive me, we have no intention of offending you. After Lu Dingbo woke up, his forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he hurriedly bowed his head to admit his mistake. Brother, a cold and magnetic female voice sounded from Wang Yu's side, don't blame them, it's my fault. Humph, you are lucky. Why don't you thank my sister's Hirao? Thank you, fairy. Lu Dingbo hurriedly thanked him. Zheng's Hirao still looked cold and nodded lightly. Chapter 52, Go and Return. Okay, Wang Yu waved his hand and ordered, bring the clan's account book. Lu Dingbo immediately handed over the prepared account book respectfully. Saint Envoy, please take a look. Wang Yu took the account book, flipped through it casually, and threw it back into Lu Dingbo's arms. Let me ask you, why is the Zhou family, which is adjacent to your Lu family, nowhere to be seen? After Wang Yu finished speaking, the aura of the second level of foundation building was released without reservation, and a huge pressure pressed on Lu Dingbo and others. Lu Dingbo's face was pale, and he took several deep breaths before he said with difficulty, Your Excellency the Holy Envoy, my Lu family and Zhou family have been neighbors for nearly 100 years, and the two families have always been in harmony. Who would have thought that last year, Zhou family suddenly encountered a disaster, and my Lu family only found out that Zhou family had been exterminated after this winter. Then, Lu Dingbo said with great sorrow, I personally led a team to check it out at my own risk, and I only know that Zhou family was attacked by a monster, and all the more than 260 people in the family were killed. I don't know the specific situation. Wang Yu looked at him expressionlessly throughout the whole process, with his narrow eyes slightly closed. After waiting for a long while, Lu Ya saw Wang Yu open his eyes, with a sneer on his lips. Is it really so? Absolutely true, Lu Dingbo said with an unshakable expression. Wang Yu said with a playful look on his face, Oh, but according to my information, there seems to be another reason for the demise of the Zhou family. Oh? The Holy Envoy knows the true situation of the demise of the Zhou family, Lu Dingbo asked excitedly. Please tell us, so that if we have the ability, we can go and avenge the entire Zhou family. After the voice fell, Lu Dingbo seemed to notice something, and lowered his head fearfully and said, Please forgive me, I was just excited for a moment. Lu Ya looked at his smooth movements, without any trace of acting, all of which were true feelings. and was stunned with a strange look on his face. If the patriarch's acting skills were in his previous life, I don't know how many young handsome guys he would have killed in seconds. Even if he was not as good as him, he would have been an actor. Brother, the sect mission is important, don't waste time. Wang Yu did not speak, but his sister's Herao stepped forward and spoke. Seeing this, Lu Dingbo nodded repeatedly. Yes, 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 the mission of the holy sect is more important. Look at my memory. Please wait for a moment. Two holy envoys. Lu Dingbo turned around and greeted them. Then several people lifted two wooden boxes and placed them in front of the yin-yang demon sect disciples. Lu Dingbo took out two bulging brocade bags from his arms with great pain. Each brocade bag contained 30 low-grade spirit stones. He handed the brocade bags to the two people and said very earnestly, the two envoys have been tired from the journey. This is a little gift from my Lu family. Facing Lu Dingbo's behavior, it was obvious that the two people who had been traveling all the way were already accustomed to it. After taking the brocade bags, Wang Yu used his spiritual sense to scan the two wooden boxes. After confirming that the number was correct, he waved his sleeves to put the wooden boxes into the storage bag, and then took his junior sister up to the sky. Looking at the holy sect envoys gradually turning into smaller dots, Lu Dingbo breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, they passed. In the sky, Wang Yu and Li's Herao hugged each other, using the sky as a blanket and shields as a mat, and the dry firewood and raging fire burned fiercely. Afterwards, Li's Herao's face flushed, her eyes were charming, she was no longer cold in front of others, and asked in a sweet voice, Brother, where are we going next? Wang Yu was in a good mood at this time. Hearing this, he smiled and said, the next stop is to the Dian family. One of the inner disciples in the sect was born in the Dian family. Before leaving, he also entrusted me to say hello to the elders of the clan who had established their foundation on her behalf. Then brother must have received a lot of rewards. Li's Herao covered her mouth and laughed. Wang Yu smacked his lips, as if savoring it, and then turned over again. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye after the tribute. Within 3 days, the Lu family resumed their normal work and rest. With sufficient resources, everyone worked hard to practice. In the sutra library, Lu Yer was asking Lu Dinghe about practice. Suddenly, Lu Dinghe turned his head and looked out the window with a serious expression. Seeing this, Lu Yer couldn't help but ask, Third grandfather, what's wrong? The yin-yang holy sects envoys are here again. I have a clan protection formation to hide, so they didn't find me, again? Could it be that Zhou's affairs have been exposed? I don't know, but it's definitely not a good thing to go back. After Lu Dingbo finished speaking, he took out the sound transmission talisman and told Lu Dingbo about this matter, then looked at Lu Yan. Lu Yan, you come with me. If these two people really come with bad intentions, you follow me to stop them. Lu Yan nodded heavily. After a while, Wang Yu and Li's Herao of the yin-yang demon sect appeared again above the Lu clan's land. Unlike the gentle last time, this time the two were obviously furious. Lu Dingbo had received Lu Dinghe's message a long time ago. At this moment, across the clan protection formation, he asked with concern, Two envoys, I haven't seen you for a few days. Is there anything bothering you? Troublesome, you close the clan protection formation first, and I will tell you later. Wang Yu sneered a few times, and his eyes became more dangerous. Seeing this, Lu Dingbo's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. The other party's behavior was obviously that he had discovered something, so he went back, and he did not hide his anger. Wait a moment, two envoys. Once the clan protection formation is opened, it will take some time to close it. Moreover, our family's clan protection formation has been in disrepair for a long time, so it is even more difficult to open and close it. Lu Dingbo's expression did not change, and his hands behind his back had been tapping on the sound transmission talisman repeatedly. At the same time, the sound transmission talisman in front of Lu Yan and Lu Dinghe in the sutra library lit up, and a short message was received by the two. The worst situation has occurred, Lu Yan, be prepared. If something goes wrong later, you will assist me and stop the other party. Lu Dinghe took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. Lu Yan nodded, took out a few pills from the storage bag and stuffed them into his mouth, and put the long sword behind him. After doing all this, the two quickly left the sutra library. Outside the clan protection formation, Wang Yu's eyes became more and more dangerous, and his magic power began to boil. Okay, I didn't expect that a mere key training family would dare to openly deceive the holy sect's envoy. Now immediately close the clan protection formation, and I will consider sparing your life. If you dare to delay, your Lu family will be wiped out, Lu Dingbo said in panic. Why do you say that, holy envoy? My Lu family has always been honest and respects the holy sect as the sky. How dare we deceive the holy sect? Humph, stubborn. After Wang Yu finished speaking, a long sword emitting this chill appeared in his hand, and he stabbed the Lu family's clan protection formation with one sword. Buzz, the clan protection formation suddenly rippled like water, and then returned to calm. Lu Dingbo hurriedly advised, Envoy, you must not do that. I am closing the formation. I don't know what the relationship between Envoy Zhao and the envoy in previous years is. Envoy Zhao and I have a good personal relationship. I hope the envoy will show mercy and talk it over. Chapter 53, Breaking the Formation and Capturing. Talk nicely? I'll talk nicely with you guys when I open the formation. Wang Yu's face was ferocious, and even Li's Herao, a junior sister who had just established her foundation, began to join in breaking the formation. Under the siege of the two foundation-building disciples, the Lu family's protective formation quickly dimmed, and it seemed that it would not last long. Messenger, please stop, my Lu family is innocent. Saint Sect, please spare our humble family. Sir, calm down. The middle and late-stage Lu family members stood behind Lu Dingbo and persuaded loudly. Lu Yu tried his best to restrain his breath, mixed in the family team, and stared at the two people who kept breaking the formation. Looking at the humble ants crying in front of him, Wang Yu's eyes became more and more angry. It was this group of ants in front of him who dared to play with the noble disciples of the Saint Sect, and now they had the guts to beg for mercy. When the formation is broken, it will be your death. Thinking of this, Wang Yu's attacks became more and more severe. Lu Yu turned his head to look at a house not far away, where Lu Dinghe was lying in ambush. As soon as the formation is closed, he will rush out and kill the two opponents by surprise. However, in just a few minutes, the Lu family's protective formation was already shaky, and Wang Yu's expression outside the formation became more and more ferocious, as if he had seen him breaking the formation and slaughtering people bathed in blood. My lord, don't. Lu Dingbo raised his hands high, making two hand seals that outsiders couldn't understand, and persuaded loudly. Seeing this, the people behind him shouted, my lord, don't. They had secretly begun to call on their magic power to form their own attack spells. Lu Yu used the figures of the people to accumulate power, and the longsword in his hand was already ready. Lu Dinghe was in the room and also began to call on his magic power secretly. The two people outside the formation were still attacking the formation frantically. In their opinion, they were just a group of key practitioners. As long as this damn formation was broken, the people hiding in it would not be able to escape from their palms and could only wait to be killed. However, they did not expect that under the acting of the Lu family, a killing calamity against them was about to come. At the moment when Wang Yu and the other two hit the clan protection formation again, Lu Dingbo closed the formation in vain. The magic spells that Lu had prepared long ago suddenly hit the two people. At this moment, Lu Yan, who was in the crowd, moved instantly, and a figure shot out from the window of a house not far away. Wang Yu's consciousness had already discovered the moment the two people moved, and his face changed drastically. He stretched out his hand to slap the storage bag on his waist. Unfortunately, the short distance of 5 meters was just a step away for Lu Yan. Before Wang Yu's hand touched the storage bag and the protective aura was activated, a figure appeared in front of him like lightning. Wang Yu forcibly gathered his magic power and formed a magic shield in front of him. Before the word "there" came out, a hot breath came towards him. Along with it, there were two swords of light that were 100 times more dazzling than the sun. Wang Yu subconsciously closed his eyes. At that moment, a silent and terrifying blade light cut through the air and slashed vertically from top to bottom. This slash was like Pantengu creating the world, with great force and speed. When Wang Yu came to his senses, the cold blade had already landed in front of him. Puff, a clear sound of flesh cutting was heard, and Wang Yu's entire left arm and arm slid off in an instant. The cut surface was smooth, and one could even see his heart beating violently between his ribs. You are looking for death? As soon as the arm was cut off, Wang Yu looked like an evil ghost, and his whole body stimulated a black magic power. With a piercing scream, he slapped Lu Yan with one palm. Facing his palm, Lu Yan had no way to avoid it. He quickly clenched his fist with one hand and punched out with a protective aura. Bang! A deafening collision sound rang out, and Lu Yan and Wang Yu separated at the touch. He retreated 7 or 8 steps, while Wang Yu only retreated 3 steps. Lu Ya's right hand was in great pain. Just as he stabilized his body, his intact left hand shot out golden sword energy towards the 2 people opposite. "Brother, be careful." Wang Yu was about to kill Lu Ya, who attacked him by surprise when he heard his junior sister's sharp and terrified cry. He released his spiritual sense and found the side that made him feel like he was falling into an ice cave. On the other side, a cultivator surrounded by red magic power was already 3 meters away from him. The aura emanating from his body was that of a foundation-building cultivator. Wang Yu turned around and tried to escape, but he was not as fast as Lu Dinghei. "Ha!" Lu Ya shouted loudly, and the special fluctuations of the exorcism technique instantly descended on Wang Yu's mind, making his movements full of a little. In just this short moment, Lu Dinghei's fist had already landed on Wang Yu's chest. Crack! A series of bone-breaking sounds were heard, and Wang Yu's body flew out like a broken sack, and rolled twice after falling, and it was unknown whether he was alive or dead. "Brother!" Li's heir let out a piercing scream, and the pink sound pattern spread rapidly with her as the center. The minds of the cultivators who passed by were buzzing constantly, and they almost fainted. Li's heir was heartbroken when she saw this. Brother Wang Yu was the master's beloved disciple, but he didn't even have time to use the treasure given by the master before he was beaten to death. Disciples like her could not resist it. As her mind turned, she didn't care about the consumption of magic power. While everyone was distracted, she was about to soar into the sky and get away from here. "When I return to the sect, it will be your death," she gritted her teeth, her face full of resentment. The moment Lu Yu was touched by the sound pattern, the spiritual fire in his sea of consciousness burned fiercely, blocking the sound wave spell. He looked up and saw that the female cultivator of the yin-yang demon sect was about to soar into the sky. If she was allowed to escape, the entire Lu family would die. He threw the long knife in his hand, and the long knife turned into a flash of lightning and shot towards Li's heir's neck. Then he exerted force on his feet, shaking up a circle of dust, and the whole person disappeared from the spot. As soon as Li's heir moved, she felt a breath of death approaching, and her long knife broke into her consciousness and shot towards her neck. If she continued to move upwards at this time, she would definitely be pierced by the long knife. She had no choice but to dodge to the side. It was this move that completely destroyed her last chance of survival. Lu Ya broke through the air, and there was milky white airflow all around him. His strong muscles burst out with a huge force. His left hand was like a dragon's claw, grabbing Li's heir's tender white ankle. "Come back to me." After grabbing with one claw, Lu Ya's face flashed a hideous look, and his sharp teeth flashed a cold light. He threw it hard towards the person below. Bang! Li's heir only felt a huge force coming from under her, and then the world spun around. When she regained consciousness, she was already lying in the dust, and her bones almost fell apart in an instant. "Don't kill them," Lu Dinghei panted in place, and then hurriedly stopped Lu Ya, who was about to crush Li's heir's head with one foot. Lu Ya retracted his foot, somewhat puzzled. The disciples of the yin-yang holy sect all have soul fire in the sect. If they die here, there will definitely be people from the sect to investigate, and then we will still be unable to escape. Lu Ya looked at the 2 yin-yang demon sect foundation builders lying on the ground, went up to grab the storage bag and other things, and then asked, "What should we do?" Chapter 54 Reason. Lu Dinghei thought for a moment and was about to speak. Lu Ya had already broken the limbs of Li's heir lying on the ground. Such a rough action made everyone present jump. Then Lu Ya walked to Wang Yu's side again, intending to repeat the trick, but just as he pulled up one arm, he found that his arm was as soft as noodles. Lu Ya had to let go. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, he had to explain, "It's safer this way, otherwise we don't have any special means to face the foundation building." Just kidding. The experience of various movies and novels in his previous life told him that when facing a villain, he must simply and roughly destroy the opponent's resistance, and never do anything fancy. Lu Dingbo nodded, "Tie up the 2 first, and don't hurt the danshin. If the danshin is directly damaged, they may fight us to the death." Everyone did as he was told. A moment later, at the edge of the open space, Wang Yu was lying in the dust, looking at the people around him with anger and resentment. He spit out the cloth stuffed in his mouth with all his strength, and yelled, "Lu, you are so bold that you dare to openly attack the disciples of the holy sect. Let me go quickly, and I may consider sparing your lives." As a disciple of the yin-yang holy sect, he was surrounded by people everywhere and others were servile and submissive. He had never suffered such humiliation. He didn't expect that. He only planned to come here to kill the main culprit, teach a lesson to the small family who dared to deceive him, and do a small favor. As a result, this small family turned into a dragon's den and a tiger's lair in the blink of an eye. Not only did they not vent their anger, but they became prisoners. Wang Yu turned his head and looked around. He didn't see Li's heir, and he felt relieved. My junior sister's heir has already fled back to the sect. You, the Lu clan, actually dared to rob the tribute. If you don't release me immediately, you will be the enemy of the Yin-Yang Holy Sect by then, not to mention your Lu clan. Even the 3 clans will be exterminated. It was obviously he who took the initiative to kill the Lu clan, but in his mouth, it became that the Lu clan was so bold as to rob the tribute. Hiss, can all disciples of the Holy Sect talk like this? Lu Meng stepped forward and kicked Wang Yu in the face, who was chattering non-stop. He immediately kicked his head off and fell into the dust. I will kill all of you, extract your souls and refine your spirits. You will die without a burial place, Wang Yu screamed hysterically. As the direct descendant of the Jinden Wang clan, when had he ever suffered such humiliation? What a fucking noise, Lu Ya picked his ears and said calmly, Uncle Meng, take off your socks and stuff them in his mouth. This cloth strip seems to be useless. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Yu immediately shut up and looked at Lu Ya with resentment, as if he wanted to engrave his appearance in his mind. This is the man who attacked him, a foundation-building cultivator, with his late key training level and made him do it easily. Such a monster, when he returns to the Holy Sect, he will immediately beg the family ancestor to come and kill him. Seeing Wang Yu shut up, Lu Ya smiled triumphantly. He didn't expect the joke he saw in his previous life to be really effective. Question: why don't hostages spit out after being gagged with cloth strips? Answer: because after you spit it out, you don't know what the kidnappers will use to gag you next. Lu Dingbo squatted beside Wang Yu, his eyes full of regret and grief. He asked, why did you come back and be so angry with my Lu family? Wang Yu closed his mouth and snorted coldly. Your Excellency is a disciple of the Holy Sect. We have offended you and know that our crime is unforgivable. Before we die, we hope that you can help us solve our doubts. Lu Dingbo kindly pulled up Wang Yu's hand, and his 5 fingers instantly grasped his hand like eagle claws, and said in a friendly manner, My Excellency, please don't refuse to drink the wine for punishment. The crackling sound of bones breaking rang out, Wang Yu's pupils shrank, and cold sweat dripped down. I said, can you let me go? Wang Yu finally felt scared. There was no normal person in this family from top to bottom, and there was no of the Yin-Yang Holy Sect of course, all this is a misunderstanding. Your Excellency, tell us the reason, and we will solve the misunderstanding. Isn't it good for you, me, and everyone else? Lu Ya said with the same sincerity. Okay, I'll tell you. After a moment, everyone in the Lu family looked solemn. Lu Feng sighed. I didn't expect that there was a fish in the Zhou family that slipped through the net, and it actually became the candidate for the true inheritance of the blood-refining sect. Lu Yuan frowned, then shook his head helplessly, and the most important thing is that the mother's family of the fish in the Zhou family is from the Dian family. The combination of the two actually let these 2 people know that the Zhou family and my Lu family have always had friction. Then these 2 people felt that they were deceived by our Lu family, so they came to my Lu family to ask for punishment. Lu Dingbo waved his hand, and Wang Yu saw that the foundation-building person in the Lu family dragged his junior sister to his side like a dead dog. I have said that a small part of it was because of the request of the fish that slipped through the net of the Zhou family, but more of it was because these 2 people acted on their own and wanted to get some benefits from my Lu family. As for the Yuan family, they were just middlemen and didn't know the inside story. Lu Xiao spoke without shying away from the 2 people lying on the ground. Wang Yu's face turned pale, and his junior sister didn't escape. At this time, Wang Yu felt cold all over when he met the eyes of the Lu family. You said you would let me go. I will never pursue it. I swear, you believe me, I am still young, I still have a bright future, I have not become a Jinden's Henren, I don't want to die, let me go, I am willing to do anything, Li's heir pleaded tenderly, trying to shake her body to expose more of her beauty to everyone. Some young people who have never seen the world could not help swallowing their saliva. Seeing that the situation was not good, Lu Ya went up and slapped Li's heir's delicate face twice. Everyone woke up and looked embarrassed. Lu Ya, you and I will deal with it, and the rest of you will clean up the family. Remember not to leave any traces. Lu Dinghe picked up Wang Yu, knocked him unconscious with a palm, and signaled to Lu Ya. Lu Yu nodded and picked up Li's heir. After thinking about it, Lu Dingbo told the two, Tian's is about a day's journey from Erlu's. Considering their original route, it should take about 2 days to deal with it. Dinghe, Lu Yu, be careful on the way. It's best to watch the two of them die and don't leave any trouble. Later, I will take the young blood of the Lu family away from the family and wait until the storm is over before seeing the situation. Lu Yu and Lu Dinghe nodded solemnly. After leaving the family, Lu Dinghe released the magic sword, and the aura of foundation building was revealed, taking Lu Yu up into the sky. Third grandfather, will there be any problem if we fly like this? Lu Yu looked up at the sky with lingering fear, fearing that some monster bird would capture him again. Obviously, the experience of flying with an object for the first time left him with some shadows. Don't worry, foundation building cultivators are still relatively safe in this area, Lu Dinghe laughed, and it must be fast enough, otherwise accidents can happen at any time. Lu Yu nodded, controlled the Kingshan shield and followed Lu Dinghe, speeding through the sky. For a whole day, the two of them traveled without stopping. When their mana was insufficient, they landed to replenish it, and then continued on their way. During this period, Wang Yu and the others woke up several times, but they were knocked unconscious by Lu Yu again as soon as they woke up, preventing them from moving at all. The next afternoon, two figures fell from the sky at the edge of a desolate swamp. Thanks to the reader 20220504213402072 for the reward, thank you very much. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Amazing Wealth. Third grandfather, is this the Yellow Spring Swamp? Lu Yu looked at the large muddy swamp in front of him, where yellow bubbles occasionally pop out and exploded, and couldn't help asking. In one day, the two of them traveled over 300 miles and appeared in the Yellow Spring Swamp, which was extremely far away from the Lu family. They encountered countless dangers along the way. The most dangerous time was when they were chased by a large group of fire bees for 30 miles. If they hadn't taken the opportunity to get into the mud and cover up their own breath, they might have died on the road. Fortunately, the two finally arrived at their destination. Lu Dinghe breathed a sigh of relief with some fatigue, and nodded solemnly. Lu Yu put Li's hair down, and then took out a storage bag with a yin-yang demon sect logo that he had snatched from Wang Yu. Lu Dinghe woke the two and ordered, "Open the storage bag." Wang Yu's lifeless eyes lit up slightly, and then returned to numbness. According to Lu Dinghe's request, the two of them removed the brand on the storage bag respectively. At the moment of removal, Wang Yu's eyes flashed, and then he was stunned by Lu Dinghe's palm who had been prepared. Lu Yu did the same thing and knocked Li's hair unconscious. His mind scanned the storage bag in his hand, and Lu Yu's hand trembled slightly. The storage bag had a huge space, and it was full of densely packed spirit stones. The number was so large that it was almost impossible to estimate. Lu Yu held the storage bag tightly, took 2 deep breaths, and handed it to Lu Dinghe. Lu Dinghe's reaction was exactly the same as his, and he was shocked. 530,000 low-grade spirit stones, 2,100 medium-grade spirit stones. Lu Dinghe's voice trembled. They knew that the tribute from the yin-yang demon sect was terrifying, but they didn't expect it to be so terrifying. This was just what these two people received. The entire Yankee domain had countless sects and families, and the tribute they received was simply an astronomical figure. 3 years ago, the Lu family spent only more than 300 spirit stones each year. If the Lu family had this wealth, it would be enough to consume hundreds of years and thousands of years. Third grandpa, Lu Yu moved his eyes away from the storage bag with difficulty. Since he traveled through time, he had never seen such a large number of spirit stones. It was just like winning the lottery in his previous life. Lu Dinghe came back to his senses with a complicated look in his eyes. Faced with such amazing wealth, after a long while, he firmly said, "We take half, and the other half remains intact." As he said, he began to transfer the spirit stones in the storage bag. After filling the storage bags of the two people, he could barely fit more than 210,000 low-grade spirit stones. As for the middle-grade spirit stones, he took 1,000 and left more than half. In this way, the number of spirit stones was not too much, and the storage bags were on the two people, which made it possible to create the illusion that they were attacked by monsters instead of dying at the hands of monks. After doing all this, the two looked at each other and saw excitement in each other's eyes. Then Lu Dinghe tied the storage bag to the two people again, and arranged it again to make sure it was the same as before stopping. After doing all this, Lu Dinghe took out a fist-sized blood-red crystal from the storage bag, and the crystal surface exuded a hazy blood-red halo. The blood essence demon stone is said to be formed by the blood of a great demon. This was found in the clan land when everyone was cleaning up the battlefield after the last time the Brahma wind leopard attacked the clan. At that time, it was in the open space in front of the meeting hall. It was also this blood essence demon stone that attracted the Brahma wind leopard, a second-level demon beast. Lu Dinghe threw the blood essence demon stone to Lu Yang. Lu Yu took it and drew out his long knife. With a flash of knife light, the blood essence demon stone was split into two. Holding the two halves of the blood essence demon stone, Lu Dinghe pressed it on the chest and abdomen of Wang Yu and the other person without hesitation. The sharp edge pierced the skin and cut the flesh, and was forcibly inserted into the bodies of the two people, leaving only a small half outside. The severe pain stimulated the nerves of Wang Yu and the other person, making them wake up without any surprise. Feeling the destroyed tension and the full feeling coming from the abdomen, Wang Yu and Li's Herao both looked ashen. With the Danshan destroyed and the cultivation lost, they had no way to survive. Lu Dinghe and Lu Ya each picked up a person and flew towards the depths of the swamp with their magic tools. Along the way, drops of blood flowed down the blood spirit stone and dripped onto the swamp. In just a moment, all the creatures under the swamp were attracted by the pure blood and rushed towards the direction where the blood was dripping, including some fish monsters with ferocious breath. After flying for more than 10 minutes, seeing that the monsters below were almost gathered, Lu Dingbo signaled to Lu Yang, and then Wang Yu and the other two were ruthlessly thrown from the air by them. "You Lu family will not die well, I'm waiting for you to be buried with me below." Sharp and crazy curses spewed out from the mouths of the two, and then they were drowned in the sea of swamp monsters. A trace of bright red mixed in the turbid mud of the swamp was particularly bright. Lu Ya shot more than a dozen cleaning and exorcism spells in succession, and then soared into the sky with Lu Dinghe. In this way, even if the yin-yang demon sect noticed the death of its disciples, it would surely not be able to find the culprit. Unlike the cautiousness when they came, the return process was still dangerous, but Lu Ya and his partner were in a very different mood. When they came, they were carrying 2 time bombs, which made them feel depressed all the way. Now they were carrying huge wealth on their backs, how could they not feel happy physically and mentally? Therefore, the two of them went around for a long time before returning to the family in the evening of the 3rd day. As soon as they arrived at the family, they were taken to the family meeting hall by Lu Feng, who was guarding the door. In the hall, many clansmen were waiting here. Seeing Lu Ya and his partner return safely, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Dingbo asked the two to sit down, and after they sat down, he asked, "How is it handled?" Lu Yan nodded vigorously and said calmly, "It has been handled in the Yellow Spring Swamp. Okay, the events of the past few days, including the clan members who have been transferred from the family, must be forgotten. Just remember one thing, the Holy Sect envoy collected the tribute and left." Lu Dingbo instructed, "If you can't guarantee it, it's best to make an oath." Everyone nodded, and some people began to restrain themselves with an oath on the spot. After everyone had done all this, Lu Yu began to say, "We didn't take any of the items on the two people, but we intercepted a part of the tribute. My 3rd grandfather and I have carefully checked. The tribute spirit stones came from various families and places. There will be no backup." Lu Yan, "How many?" Lu Yang asked with great interest. Lu Yu gestured with 3 fingers. 3,000 low-grade spirit stones. Lu Yang's tentative guess was met with Lu Ya's extremely contemptuous look. 30,000 spirit stones. Lu Yang's eyes glared, and he couldn't believe it. Lu Yu gave up and said directly, "It's 300,000 low-grade spirit stones." 300,000. Lu Yang's eyes were bulging with shock, and he breathed hard like a fish about to be dehydrated. Not only Lu Yang, but the rest of the people looked at Lu Ya with shocked eyes after hearing this. Lu Tong was originally drinking tea, but his hand trembled when he heard the words, and a large amount of tea spilled. Lu Dingbo calmed himself down and asked uncertainly, "Lu Ya, you said that we intercepted 300,000 low-grade spirit stones?" "Yes, 300,000. Lu Ya nodded. "3rd grandpa decided personally, we are going to be rich." "Ha ha ha, we are rich, we are rich." After getting Lu Ya's affirmative answer again, The meeting hall suddenly became a sea of laughter. Chapter 56 Wuhu Bank. Lu Dinghe made a decision and said, "We are still in the tribute period, so it is not appropriate to have such a huge amount of spiritual stones. Let's wait for a while and observe the reaction of the yin-yang holy sect. If there is no problem, we can deal with it later." More than half a month passed in the Lu family in fear. When the yin-yang demon sect's envoy was killed, no one hesitated, but now the excitement was over, and the fear followed. The Lu family did not even go to the Yunjin auction, but just stayed in the family in a low-key manner, concentrating on hard practice. After another half a month, the Lu family and others finally put down their hanging hearts. If the yin-yang demon sect found something, with the style of the yin-yang demon sect, they would definitely not do nothing for such a long time. I am afraid that their Lu family would have ceased to exist long ago. Such a huge amount of spiritual stones, no matter how the Lu family thought about hiding, it felt unsafe. After thinking about it, Lu Dingbo decided to go to Wuhuifang Market. Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion is backed by the top sect Jiubao sect. Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion, which has business all over the world of cultivation, naturally has a corresponding bank, providing customers with convenient and high-quality services, and security, liquidity and privacy are all guaranteed. Compared with Jiubao sect, Yin-Yang demon sect is not just a little bit different. If the spirit stones are placed in other places, they may still be a little worried, but if they are placed in Wuhu Bank, unless Jiubao sect falls, no one will know that they have such a sum of money in the bank. Wuhu Bank is located in the most central and prosperous area of the entire Wuhuifang city. It is adjacent to Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion. It mainly stores and exchanges spirit stones. The cultivators who enter and leave Wuhu Bank are either powerful or powerful. In short, ordinary people rarely come here. At this moment, Lu Yang and Lu Dinghe, who were dressed up, walked into Wuhu Bank openly under the gaze of Lu Dingbo. When Lu Yat and the others walked into the bank, a graceful female cultivator came to them. "Excuse me, what do you two seniors need?" The young female cultivator twisted her slender waist like a water snake and looked at Lu Ya, who was walking in front of her. She had a warm smile from the heart on her face, without any stiff professional sense. She had seen countless people and could easily see that these two people should be the master and servant. The young man's cultivation was not low, and the old man following behind him was even more unfathomable. It was very likely that he was a senior who had established his foundation. Thinking of being able to let a cultivator who had established his foundation serve as a servant, the female cultivator's smile became even brighter. This was the strategy formulated by Lu Dingbo, to let Lu Yat and Lu Dingbo become the master and servant, thus creating a huge background, and also explaining the origin of the spirit stone. "I've heard of your Wuhu Bank." Lu Ya swept his hot eyes across the female cultivator's soft waist, and then said slowly, "Of course. Our Wuhu Bank is famous for its safety and secrecy. I left in a hurry this time. I wonder if it is convenient to store spiritual stones in your Wuhu market." "Of course it is convenient. Sir, please follow me." When the female cultivator heard this, the joy in her eyes flashed away. And she took Lu Yat and the other two to the second floor. After entering a private room, the female cultivator whispered a few words to the middle-aged man in the room, and led Lu Yat and the other two into the room. In the room, Lu Ya looked at the middle-aged man in front of him, a little impatient. It has been 5 minutes since he just came in, and the other party has been praising him, making it impossible for him to respond. "Old Hai," Lu Ya spoke with a look of dissatisfaction. So, Lu Dinghe appropriately released a trace of foundation-building aura, and looking at the man opposite who finally quieted down, Lu Dingbo said in a hoarse and cold voice, "Silence." Lu Ya threw a few storage bags on the table in front of him and ordered, "Save them for me." The man checked the storage bags one by one, and asked with a smile on his face, "I wonder if you have the banknote number of our Wuhu Bank." "This is the first time I'm here." "Then please wait a moment, sir." After a moment, the middle-aged man returned to the box with a jade token about 3 inches in size in his hand. "Master Zhao, please keep it. This is the jade card that indicates your status as a distinguished guest of our Wuhu Bank. When you input your magic power, it will form a unique mark that belongs to you. I have just counted it for you. There are a total of 200,000 low-grade spirit stones." Lu Ya played with a jade with great interest. Hearing this, he curled his lips and said, "I left in such a hurry that I only took so few spirit stones. Master Hai, why didn't you help me count them at that time?" "Master, it's a good thing you acted quickly. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to get out, Liu He said jokingly, but with his gloomy tone, the middle-aged man in the box couldn't laugh. The middle-aged man forced a smile, took the jade card from Liu Yang, took out a roulette magic weapon, printed the jade card on the roulette, and then introduced, Master Zhao, from now on, you can go to any Wuhe bank and take out the spirit stones you have stored, regardless of time and place. Oh, Liu Yang responded calmly. Also, as a distinguished guest of our Wuhe bank, you can ask the bank to search for a piece of information for you every year free of charge. As long as Wuhe bank can do it, we will do our best to complete it for you. If you have any needs in this regard, you can spend spirit stones. Huh? Liu Yang raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Wuhe bank to have such a service. It's really good. Can any information be completed? As long as Wuhe bank can complete it, we will complete it, the middle-aged man said confidently. Then I want to see if you Wuhe bank know how to reduce the mortality rate when building the foundation of the heavenly Dao? Liu Yang asked with interest. After Liu Yang finished speaking, the middle-aged man looked serious and confirmed again, Mr. Zhao, are you sure you want to use this once-a-year consultation opportunity? Sure, use it. Liu Yang waved his hand indifferently, looking unconcerned. It will take time for Wuhe market to search and confirm this information. Please wait patiently, Mr. Zhao. Just now you said you would do your best to complete it. Now you are asking me to wait. Isn't it a bit absurd? Liu Yang looked at the middle-aged man with a fake smile and said sarcastically. Unexpectedly, the other party said seriously, Mr. Zhao should know how rare it is to build a foundation of the heavenly Dao. If the method that can reduce the mortality rate of building a foundation of the heavenly Dao can be obtained at will, then wouldn't all the people in the world be the peerless geniuses of building a foundation of the heavenly Dao? Liu Yang was not embarrassed at all by being humiliated. He put his hands behind his head and said comfortably, that's right, then I will wait. He played with a jade card in his hand and spoke again, where's the best and most expensive willow alley here, Mr. No, the old man played by Liu He warned in a serious tone at this moment. Liu Yang said helplessly, Mr. Hi, I'm just curious. Hearing this, the middle-aged man laughed and said, ha, I didn't expect that Mr. Zhao is also a man of temperament. The most famous one is Zuxianlao. You can go there to have a look, but the cost there is not cheap. Not cheap? Can it be compared with Bishu Fairyland? Liu Yang raised his eyebrows and asked. The middle-aged man's expression froze. Wuhe market was opened all over the cultivation world, but he really had never heard of the name of Bishu Fairyland. However, it was not good to refute the face of the distinguished guest in front of him, so he had to smile and said, of course it can't be compared, that's it, first get me 500 medium-grade spirit stones, no problem. While waiting for the spirit stones to be delivered, the middle-aged man continued, Mr. Zhao, if my Wuhe bank has the information you need, your jade card will flash 3 times. At that time, you only need to go to the nearest Wuhe bank to get the information you are looking for. Liu Yang nodded to show that he knew. After a while, the transaction was completed, and the middle-aged man watched the 2 people leave the bank. Dear readers, today is Tuesday. Remember to click to the end of the latest chapter, which is related to the life of this book. Thank you. Chapter 57, Wind Curse. Finally I have mastered it. Liu Yang originally thought that as long as he could master the wind controlling technique to the peak level, the progress of the wind shocking curse would be greatly accelerated. As a result, after spending a month to master the wind controlling technique to the peak level, it took nearly 2 months to successfully master the wind shocking curse, and this was after using the teaching jade slip. Looking at the table and chairs not far away, Liu Yang pushed with one hand, and the magic power was stimulated. A breeze surged forward, and the table and chairs suddenly fell to the ground, but they were suspended in the air under the support of the breeze. This is the peak level of wind controlling technique. After dispersing the magic power, the table and chairs fell silently. Then, he muttered something in his mouth, and the magic power surged again. The next moment, with the consumption of a large amount of his magic power, a group of blue-black strong winds appeared out of thin air in the originally quiet room. As soon as the strong wind appeared, the temperature in the room dropped a lot. Liu Yang exhaled bursts of white air from his mouth and nose, and his hair stood up unconsciously. He looked at the table and chairs, and with a thought, the strong wind instantly wrapped the table and chairs, and made a hissing sound. In just a moment, the strong wind disappeared without a trace. The table and chairs fell to the ground again, as if they had never moved. Lu Ya stood up and walked to the side of the table and chairs, stretched out his hand and gently pressed them, and the originally solid table and chairs seemed to have experienced thousands of years, turning into dust and collapsing. Under Lu Ya's control, the dust gathered into a ball again, and then was wrapped by the wind and thrown out of the window. Is this a second-level spell? Lu Ya looked at his masterpiece with satisfaction, and finally a touch of joy appeared on his face. The strong wind summoned by the windshock curse is not only extremely low in temperature, but once the strong wind invades the body, it is like a steel needle scraping bones, penetrating every hole, and can destroy the cultivator's body in the blink of an eye. At the very least, it can temporarily trap the opponent, giving Lu Ya more room to perform. Not to mention the speed, the lethality alone is higher than my current highest level spell. However, it is still too slow to be used now and cannot be used in actual combat. It also consumes a lot of mana. Just casting it once consumes a quarter of my mana. Lu Ya secretly compared it in his heart. Then he sat back on the bed, took out a jade slip from the storage bag, thought for a while, and quickly wrote down his insights and the next adjustment plan in the jade slip. This is a job that Lu Ya has started a long time ago. While practicing magic, he recorded all his insights and understandings and put them in the family's sutra pavilion. In this way, family members who want to practice magic can refer to the jade slips left by Lu Ya, so as to absorb the corresponding experience and the most correct path, and practice with half the effort. After recording the insights, Lu Ya put down the jade slip, rubbed his slightly swollen eyebrows, and breathed a sigh of relief. Habitually opening the skill panel, Lu Ya took a rough look. Name, Lu Ya. Lifespan, 20/96 years old. Realm, 8th level of key training. 87/100, skills. Great mastery of Chongchun Kung Fu. 4252/5000, skills. Fire controlling technique. 110802, 200000, body protection aura peak. 49071, 50000, earth spike peak. 50000/50000, peak splitting sword technique. 44500, 50000, peak exorcism technique. 33554, 50000, peak breath containment technique. 47526/50000, peak illumination technique. 46558, 50000, peak controlling object technique. 20501/50000, peak Zuanyang Yikiju. 1674, 50,000 ice cone. 4698/5000, fire snake. 2110, 50,000, palm thunder. 1587/50000, wind control. 17232, 50000, ice arrow. 105/50000, wind shock. 2/100, magic power, none except for the newly added wind shock. All other spells are slowly increasing experience. Among them, the initial spells such as body protection are almost reaching the peak limit, and the spells practiced later are basically entering the peak threshold. Magic power, magical power. When can I have a magical power? Lu Ya looked at the magical power column with envy. At this moment, the big nun was particularly dazzling to him. It's a pity that spells are easy to get, but magical power is hard to find. Lu Ya only said it lip service. He knew in his heart that as long as he continued to practice step by step and worked hard to accumulate experience, his supernatural powers would be born sooner or later. After closing the skill panel, Lu Ya sat cross-legged again, opened the spirit-gathering array with dozens of low-grade spirit stones under his body, and then began to practice with his eyes closed. As the weather became warmer and warmer, there was no resource crisis, and he didn't need to worry about trivial matters in life. Lu Ya's practice career became smoother and his schedule was full. With a successful learning of the wind shock curse, there was no spell to be relearned in a short period of time, and he was completely in a liver-burning mode. In just a month, he had mastered the wind shock curse to a small level, and was gradually moving towards great success. At the same time, Lu Ya's cultivation was gradually approaching the 9th level of key training in this process. That night, Lu Ya sat in meditation and practiced the exercises as usual, and the spirit-gathering array under his body continuously supplied spiritual energy for him to absorb. After another cycle of operation, Lu Ye opened his eyes and showed a happy face. I have reached the 9th level of key training. I am only one step away from reaching the 10th level. Then I can prepare to build my foundation. He roughly calculated that it took him almost 9 months to reach the 9th level of key training from the 8th level. With sufficient resources, this speed is already very fast. If it were not for the spirit stones and monster meat, Lu Ye estimated that it would take at least 3 to 5 years to go from the 8th level to the 9th level of key training purely through meditation. If I continue to improve at this speed, I will definitely be able to complete the 10th level of key training in less than 2 years. By then, I will only be 22 years old, Lu Ye thought to himself, and a smile appeared on his face. When I build my foundation, my lifespan will increase to more than 200 years. Minus my current age, I still have at least 200 years to live. Even if I don't practice anymore, I can still enjoy 2 whole centuries. This time travel is not a loss. His Lu Ye seemed to remember something and slapped his thigh fiercely. In this case, wouldn't I become an old immortal? And an old immortal who is strong and good at fighting? Forget it, let's just be an old immortal. Who wants to die when they can live? But before that, it's better to improve your cultivation first, and then successfully build your foundation. That's the real thing. Speaking of which, since he got the J token of Wuhou Bank and raised the issue of reducing the mortality rate of Xiandao Foundation building, several months have passed, and he still hasn't received any news. Is it possible that Wuhou Bank has no news about this, or did it forget it? He took out the J token of Wuhou Bank, and it was still the same as usual, so he put it back into the storage bag without giving up. Then Lu Ye laid down with his head raised. He had just broken through the 9th level of key training. He didn't plan to practice again tonight, but planned to have a good sleep. Speaking of which, since he crossed over, he had rarely had such a relaxing sleep. Usually, he would meditate instead of sleeping. Not long after he lay down, a faint snoring sound came from Lu Ye's room. Chapter 58, Bank News. Lu Ye slept soundly this time, and did not get up from bed until the sun was high in the sky the next morning. After a nutritious breakfast, Lu Ye walked to the sutra library. Since he placed the jade slips of his own experience in practicing magic in the sutra library, the sutra library has become a place most often visited by family members. For family members, Lu Ye's experience in practice is almost a priceless treasure, and it has a very strong guiding role in practicing magic. Second brother, when he arrived at the sutra library, Lu Ye saw Lu Yu, Lu Jing and others quietly reading. Unlike before, the family resources are now abundant, and Lu Yu and other juniors have also obtained sufficient resources for practice. One by one, they are full of energy, full of magic power, and their cultivation is higher than one another. Well, you continue to study, and write down anything you don't understand. I'll come to find third grandpa. After Lu Ye greeted them, he turned and went upstairs. Looking at Lu Ye's back as he went upstairs, the young people on the first floor all showed admiration, and then retracted their gazes and concentrated on studying the jade slips or books in their hands. On the second floor, in Lu Dinghei's practice room, Lu Dinghei was sitting cross-legged on a square cushion, meditating with his eyes closed. Under him, there was also a small spirit-gathering formation, surrounded by a full circle of spirit stones. Sensing Lu Ye's arrival, Lu Dingbo slowly stopped the practice, opened his eyes, and the tightly closed door opened to both sides without wind. Third grandpa, Lu Ye walked in and closed the door. Lu Ye, what are you doing here to find third grandpa? Are you asking third grandpa to practice with you again? Lu Dinghei said vigilantly. Third grandpa's old bones can't stand your destruction. Lu Ye heard the words, and the corners of his eyes twitched unconsciously. Wasn't it just that when he had achieved a small success in the shocking wind curse last time, he asked third grandpa to help him test the specific power? Why did third grandpa seem to have suffered a lot of damage? If Lu Dinghei heard this, he would definitely glare at him and his anger would soar. In his opinion, it was not a test, but he was the target unilaterally. If he was not strong, he would have been lying there. Seeing that Lu Dinghei had blocked his words, Lu Ye didn't know what to say for a moment, and the atmosphere fell into a mysterious awkwardness. At this moment, Lu Ye exclaimed and took out a jade card from his storage bag. The whole jade card was flashing with a light that could not be ignored, and it was particularly conspicuous. Money Bank Jade Card. Lu Dinghei recognized it and asked in a low voice. Lu Ye nodded and said, according to the words of Wuhou Money Bank at that time, when this jade card lights up, it means that my request has come to fruition. After that, He looked at Lu Dinghe and said, "Third grandpa, maybe we have to go out for a trip." Lu Dinghe nodded. It was related to Lu Ya's foundation building path, so of course he had to provide assistance with all his strength. As for Lu Ya's attempt to build the foundation of the heaven, he did not comment. As a cultivator, he thought that the human foundation was the safest, but who would be content with mediocrity if they could have the possibility of building a heavenly foundation? However, as Lu Ya's third grandfather, he would rather Lu Ya build an ordinary human foundation than risk a very high mortality rate to pursue a heavenly foundation. Well, there is no time to lose. We will set off later. After spending some time explaining the situation to the clan leader, Lu Ya and Lu Dinghe drove the magic weapon and used the object control technique to soar into the sky. When they flew out of the family's clan land, the two of them immediately accelerated and turned into two streams of light, and soon disappeared from the sight of everyone in the Lu family. 2 days later, Shaoshan City. Shaoshan City is the largest city in the vicinity except for Wuhuifang City. The city gate is 10 feet high and is built entirely of black boulders. The boulders are sharp and angular. From a distance, it looks like a huge Zio monster with its bloody mouth opened, and countless pedestrians are going in and out of its mouth. At this moment, Lu Ya was wearing a bright silver top-grade robe, a middle-grade gold line belt with a lightning pattern tied around his waist, his long hair tied casually behind him, and a cynical smile on his face, just like a rich young man playing with the world. Behind him was Lu Dinghe, who was covered in a black robe and served as a servant and bodyguard. With such a demeanor, Lu Ya did not undergo any interrogation, and followed a flow of people into Shaoshan City with Lu Dinghe. After entering the city, Lu Ya was not in a hurry to go to Wuhu Bank. Instead, he strolled around with interest and bought some local specialties before slowly taking Lu Dinghe to Wuhu Bank. Like the Wuhu Bank and Wuhu Market, the Wuhu Bank in Shaoshan City is still luxurious and recognizable at a glance. After entering the bank, there was still a young and beautiful female cultivator who came to greet him. Without waiting for her to ask questions, Lu Ya directly took out his Wuhu Jade card. After seeing the Jade token, the female cultivator smiled more brightly, and then took Lu Ya and the other person to the private room. Not long after entering the private room, Lu Ya saw a mature and charming woman in a water blue cheongsam walking in. The cheongsam woman was about to close the door when Lu Ya heard an urgent shout from outside the door. "Beautiful sister, wait for me, are you free tonight? How about having a simple meal and watching the moon together?" This made the cheongsam woman who had just walked into the private room frown, as if she was annoyed. She gave Lu Ya and the other person an apologetic smile, and then closed the door with a click, and the private room was instantly quiet. "I wonder what the distinguished guest needs this time," the cheongsam woman calmed down and then asked naturally. "I have the answer to the question I asked before. It just so happens that this young master is close to your Shaoshan City, so I came here." Lu Ya played with a J token and explained casually. "Please put the J token on the table." Lu Ya did as he was told. The cheongsam woman picked up the Jade card, and then took out a roulette magic weapon and placed it in the center of the roulette wheel. With a flash of light, the cheongsam woman first looked at Lu Ya in surprise, then handed the Jade card back to Lu Ya, and said with a strange look on her face, "I didn't expect that Mr. Zhao would ask such a question. Why, can't I ask it?" Lu Ya raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile. "Of course not. The purpose of Wuhu Bank is to provide services to our distinguished guests as much as possible." The cheongsam woman bowed slightly, revealing a hint of beautiful scenery, and then glanced at Lu Dinghe, who was wearing a black robe behind Lu Ya, and said, "Sir, do you want me to tell you now? You can say it at any time. It is so difficult to build a foundation in the heavenly Dao. Even in my Wuhu Xianbao pavilion, there have never been a few peerless geniuses who have built a foundation in the heavenly Dao." The cheongsam woman first sighed, and then continued, "Sir, after searching in my Wuhu Bank, we finally found one that meets your needs." The cheongsam woman did not keep you in suspense, and said directly, "That is the Jiuduan Secret Realm." Chapter 59, 9 Section Secret Realm. After the cheongsam woman finished speaking, she paused. Seeing that there was no expression on Lu Ya's face, she felt a little confused and continued, "The origin of the Jiuduan Secret Realm is mysterious and generally unknown to the public. It took our Wuhu Bank a lot of time to find out. Legend has it that it was left by a powerful cultivator who was at the nascent soul stage or even above. There are countless natural treasures among them. Legend has it that there is a treasure that can increase the success rate of foundation building, the flowing slurry of heaven and earth. Lu Ye repeated, flowing slurry of heaven and earth. Yes, the flowing slurry of heaven and earth is a treasure unique to the Jiuduan secret realm. It was obtained by collecting the essence of heaven and earth from the Jiuduan secret realm and catalyzing it for thousands of years. It is helpful for all three methods of foundation building. I wonder if it meets what Mr. Zhao wants. Lu Ye pondered for a moment and said, if there really is such a magical thing, it should meet the requirements. Don't worry, Mr. Zhao, this Jiuduan secret realm naturally exists. The Chongsam woman smiled slightly, and the whole box suddenly became a little brighter. Lu Ye leaned forward and said, where's the 9/7 secret realm now? And how can I enter it? The Chongsam woman raised a smile at the corner of her mouth, leaned back slightly, and the mountains and ridges were more prominent, and then she said, 20,000 low-grade spirit stones. Lu Ye was stunned, and then subconsciously wanted to look back at Lu Dinghe to ask for his opinion. However, just as this thought came to his mind and he was about to turn around, he was forcibly controlled by his strong muscles to turn around. He is now the young master of the family, how could he ask for advice from a servant? Lu Ye slapped his palm on the thick table, threw the jade card to the other party with some impatience, and said, give it, give it, give it, you actually delayed my time for such a small amount of money. The Chongsam woman swiped the jade card on the roulette wheel twice, and then said, the location of the 9/7 secret realm is unknown, but according to the inference of a senior, it exists in a space at the junction of heaven and earth, and it is a place that cannot be reached by conventional methods. Lu Ye's eyebrows jumped, and then he was forced to hold back. There is only one way to enter the 9 broken secret realm. Pass the 9 broken trial. After passing it, the 9 broken teleportation array will appear. Take the 9 broken teleportation array to reach the 9 broken secret realm. After saying this, the Chongsam woman stopped talking and looked at Lu Ye with interest. After a while, she said, I'll give you another piece of news. The 9 broken trial will be held in a month. Lu Ye looked at her, as if he saw a female fox who had successfully stolen a chicken. He knew that he had only 2 choices now. One is to directly put on an indifferent attitude and not care about the so-called 9 broken secret realm. The other is to bite the bait directly. Lu Ye chose the latter. Then, how can I participate in the 9 broken trial? The Chongsam woman laughed like a silver bell, and then said, Mr. Zhao, it just so happens that my Shaoshan City Wuhou Bank has a way to participate in the 9 broken trial, but the cost of obtaining it is huge. And generally only the internal staff of the bank can enjoy it, so this matter is very troublesome. This sentence fell into Lu Ye's ears and automatically translated into 2 words, add money. Lu Ye threw the jade token directly to the other party, and said in a very rich and powerful way, is it enough? God knows. When Lu Ye said this, his heart was bleeding. The Chongsam woman stretched out a white jade finger to press the jade token, and said jokingly, Mr. Zhao, you are joking. For only 90,000 spirit stones, my quota of Wuhou Bank in Shaoshan City will be given to you. Just consider it as making friends. Make friends. Lu Ye had a blank expression on his face, and he was extremely crazy inside. Is there such a way to make friends? In just a few words, a friend paid 110,000 spirit stones. After the Chongsam woman scratched away 90,000 spirit stones, she said happily, remind you again, Mr. Zhao, the 9 failure trial is only allowed to be participated by key training monks, so the senior beside you can only wait for you outside with regret. Are you sure that only key training monks are allowed to participate? Lu Ye's eyes lit up and confirmed again. That's right, the Chongsam woman nodded, this is the rule of the 9 broken trial and the 9 broken secret realm. There was once a person who didn't believe in evil, but when he stood on the teleportation array, he was instantly wiped out by the array pattern on the teleportation array. Therefore, some people speculate that the main purpose of the 9 broken secret realm is that the great man wants to find a successor. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Lu Ye bowed and thanked him. I wonder how to participate in the 9 broken trial then. In half a month, Mr. Zhao, you will come to my Shaoshan City, and then we will set off to the 9 broken trial together. Okay, Lu Ye nodded. Seeing that the goal had been achieved, Lu Ye really didn't want to stay here sadly, so he took Lu Dinghe and walked out directly. As soon as he opened the door, he saw a fat face rushing in, almost hitting his chest. Lu Ye turned his body to the side to avoid the fat man who is estimated to be more than 250 kilograms. Lu Dinghe snorted coldly, and his magic power bound the fat man in place, unable to move. Hey, Hey, this handsome face of mine was almost ruined. The fat man was not afraid at all when he was restrained by the foundation-building cultivator. Instead, he was extremely grateful. Thank you, senior. If you hadn't stopped me, my handsome face would have been ruined, the fat man said with a smile while looking at Lu Dinghe. This fat man is really bold. Is this fat man stupid? The same thought came to Lu Ya and Lu Dinghe's mind at the same time. Old Hai, let's go. Lu Ya stood at the door, turned his head and glanced at the fat man, and said casually. Lu Dinghe nodded, put the fat man aside, and followed Lu Ya out of the box. After leaving the box, Lu Ya's pupils suddenly shrank, because he saw two middle-aged cultivators standing outside the door, with a strong aura, obviously foundation-building cultivators. Looking back at the fat man who was entangled with the Cheongsam woman, Lu Ya's heart trembled, and he secretly said, "Don't judge a person by his appearance." However, seeing the Cheongsam woman's helpless look under the harassment of the fat man, he couldn't help but feel secretly happy. Walking out of Wuho Money House, Lu Ya was in front and Lu Dinghe was behind, and the two walked in silence. After a while, Lu Ya could already see the gate of Shaoshan City. "Third grandpa, I'm sorry," Lu Ya said with some bitterness. Just one piece of news consumed 1/3 of the family's current wealth, which was really too exaggerated. Lu Dinghe followed behind him and said in a deep voice, "No need to apologize. In the past, it was the Lu family that could not give you this generation of generous resources. Now the opportunity is right in front of you. Let alone 100,000 spirit stones, it would not be a pity even if all the wealth of my Lu family was gone." Speaking of which, whether it is the distant Lu family main line or the current Lu family, there has never been a peerless genius who has built a foundation in the way of heaven. I wonder if you, heir, can give us a surprise. Surprise, Lu Ya muttered to himself, and then walked out of the city in silence. Chapter 60 Departure. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. In the Lu family meeting hall, Lu Ya was receiving instructions from many Lu family elders. Lu Yuan looked at the grown-up Lu Ya and said earnestly, "Lu Ya, don't be impulsive and reckless when you go to the Jiuduan secret realm this time. Think twice before you act. Yes, being able to leave the secret realm safely is a success. Don't let the opportunity go to your head." Lu Feng followed. "That's right, opportunities are everywhere, but life is only one. If it doesn't work, find a hidden corner and wait until the trial is over." Faced with the concern of the family elders, Lu Ya nodded one by one. Lu Dingbo sat in the main seat and said, "Okay, it's getting late. Dinghe, get ready to take Lu Ya out." Then he looked at Lu Ya, reached out and took out many bottles and jars from the storage bag, and said, "Here are some healing and ki replenishing pills. This trip is dangerous, so don't save them. Also, you must be kind to others, and don't conflict with others unless necessary." Lu Ya was about to nod his head in response when he heard Lu Dingbo continue, "If you have to conflict with others, remember to strike first and don't leave any trouble for the future, understand?" Sure enough, it still tastes the same. Lu Ya nodded. "Well, have you refined all the magic weapons I bought for you a few days ago?" Lu Ya said, "All of them have been refined." Ever since he knew that Lu Ya was going to participate in the 9 breaks trial, Lu Dingbo started preparing that day. In 10 days, from offense to defense to robes, all of them were bought for Lu Ya as top-grade magic weapons, and he also had one set to use and one set to spare. A lot of things to increase combat power, such as talismans, were bought, and now they are all lying in Lu Ya's storage bag. A mother worries when her son is away from home, and for everyone in the Lu family, Lu Ya's importance is beyond doubt. "Okay, go." Lu Dingbo waved his hand and said in a deep voice. Lu Ya bowed to Lu Dingbo, then bid farewell to his father Lu Yuan, and finally stood behind the door and bowed to the elders in the hall before turning around and leaving. It took a day, and Lu Ya and Lu Dingbo arrived at Shaoshan City again without any danger. Since tomorrow is the day to gather and set off, Lu Ya and Lu Dingbo found a good-looking inn with food and accommodation in the city that night and opened a room. Shaoshan City is indeed a big city. The room fee of 15 low-grade spirit stones a day is enough to discourage many key training cultivators, but for the current Lu family, it is just a drizzle. After all, more than 100,000 spirit stones have been spent, so why would they care about this? After dinner, Lu Ya called the waiter to fetch a wooden bucket of water for a bath. Lying in the wooden bucket, in front of him was a fiery red snake as thick as a thumb, swimming back and forth. The scales of the snake were clearly visible, and the fiery red snake pupils were flashing with spiritual light. But if you look closely, you can find that the flame snake is made of solid flames and is not a living thing. This flame snake was condensed by Liu Ye using the fire control technique. The fire control technique of the transformation realm is enough for him to achieve this. For Liu Ye, maintaining this flame snake every moment is also a continuous accumulation of experience in fire control technique. The fire snake roamed in the water. But there was no sign of being extinguished by the water. Instead, the temperature radiated from its body just kept the water in the wooden bucket at a suitable temperature. After soaking for half an hour, Liu Ye got up from the wooden bucket refreshed. Since coming to this world, he has hardly taken a bath, and usually uses the cleansing technique instead. However, this bath brought back some of the feeling of his previous life. Liu Ye walked out of the wooden barrel, and a layer of flames like flowing water naturally ignited on his body, evaporating the water. After putting on his robe, Liu Ye sat cross-legged, and a fire snake shot out from the wooden barrel, coiled in Liu Ye's folded palms, and quietly closed its snake pupils. The next morning, Liu Ye, who had returned to the outfit of Mr. Zhao, took Hailao Lu Dinghe to Wuhe Money House. After showing their identity jade cards, Liu Ye and the other were welcomed to a reception room on the top floor. At this time, there were already several people sitting in the reception room in twos and threes. Seeing Liu Ye coming, everyone in the reception room cast a scrutinizing look. Liu Ye took a rough look, and then his expression did not change. He chose an empty seat and sat down generously, and Lu Dinghe stood quietly behind him. "Senior, nice to see you again," an enthusiastic voice came. Liu Ye turned around and saw the fat man he met at the door of the box last time coming over to say hello with a smile on his face. There were 4 people following him. Lu Dinghe stood in a black robe, exuding an aura that kept people away from him. Seeing this, Liu Ye took the initiative to speak. "Old heir rarely talks to people, so please feel free to do as you please." "Haha, brother, that's too polite. How can I ignore the favor of saving my face?" The fat man saw Liu Ye talking to him, as if he had opened up a chatterbox, and immediately took over the topic. Liu Ye looked at his confident fat face seriously and sighed slightly in his heart. He hadn't seen such a narcissistic and confident person for a long time. "Brother, don't be silent," the fat man turned around and asked, "Is that right?" "Yes, yes, 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 yes. The young master is handsome and talented, and is a top-notch handsome man in the cultivation world." "Yes, yes, yes," the 4 people behind the fat man echoed. Liu Ye looked at the 4 people in surprise. As expected of cultivators at the perfect level of key training, their facial expressions were well managed, and they could tell lies without blinking. The fat man nodded with great satisfaction, and then introduced himself. "My name is Nanguang Wudi. May I know your name, brother?" "Nanguang Wudi?" Even though Liu Ye could control all his muscles, he still frowned. It was a bit inappropriate for such a domineering name to appear on such an unreliable fat man. "My name is Zhao Tai. Nice to meet you, fellow Taoist, brother Zhao. Nice to meet you. It seems that you are also participating in the Jiuduan trial. I heard that the Jiuduan secret realm is quite interesting. When you enter the secret realm, if you encounter danger, I will protect you at that time." Nanguang Wudi patted his chest and said confidently, "Below the golden core, I am invincible, invincible below the golden core." Liu Ye looked at him seriously for a few times, looking left and right. The Nanguang Wudi in front of him was a cultivator who had perfected key training. How could he dare to say that he was invincible below the golden core? Liu Ye nodded seriously, bowed and said, "Thank you, brother Wudi." Nanguang Wudi said generously, "You're welcome, we are all friends, it's my duty." Nanguang Wudi was about to say something else when he saw the Chongsam woman he met last time coming in from the door. His eyes suddenly lit up and he opened his arms to greet her. "Beautiful sister, I haven't seen you for almost 9 hours." When the Chongsam woman saw Nanguang Wudi, her usually well-managed expression was obviously a little out of control. Chapter 61 Various Forces. The Chongsam woman wore a professional smile on her face, and calmly avoided Nanguang Wudi, then walked to the center of the reception room. After she looked around at everyone present, she saw that everyone was there, and then she said softly, "Dear guests, it's getting late, we should set off." After that, she turned and walked towards the other door of the conference room without looking around. Nanguang Wudi followed her and kept talking. Seeing this, everyone stood up and followed her too. Liu Ye waited until most people had left before walking in with Lu Dinghe. Behind the door was a long passage with no doors or windows. There was a pair of lighting beads every 2 meters on the walls and the top of the 2 sides, making the passage extremely bright. Lu Yue followed behind everyone and walked for about 5 minutes before finally walking out of the passage. What came into view was a huge circular hall. Under the circular walls of the hall were wooden doors that kept opening and closing. In the center of the hall was a huge teleportation formation. There was a formation master at each of the 4 corners of the formation, responsible for controlling and activating the formation. As soon as Lu Yue came in, he saw a large group of people standing on the formation. As the formation flashed, the crowd disappeared. The Chongsam woman went forward to talk to the leading formation master for a few words, then turned back to the crowd and said, "Dear guests who have a quota, please enter the teleportation formation. I will not accompany you. There will be someone to receive you on the other side of the formation. Beautiful sister, when I come back, can you please have a meal?" Nangguang Wudi came forward and asked attentively. The Chongsam woman said with a smile, "Let's wait until the guests come back, okay?" Nangguang Wudi waved his hand freely and walked into the teleportation formation with 4 subordinates who had perfected their key training. Now it was the Chongsam woman's turn to be surprised. She originally thought that this person would still entangle, but she didn't expect it to be so straightforward now. As everyone entered the teleportation formation one after another, Lu Yue did not hesitate. He looked back at Lu Dinghe and also stepped into the teleportation formation. Nangguang Wudi brought 4 key cultivating perfect monks to Lu Yue's side and smiled without any pressure. "Brother Zhao, don't worry. I will protect you when you enter the secret realm." "Thank you, Brother Wudi." Lu Yue looked at Nangguang Wudi and the 4 people behind him and bowed gently to thank him. Originally, he thought that at most 2 of the 4 people would go, but he didn't expect that Nangguang Wudi would take all of them. You know, 1 person costs 90,000 spirit stones, and 5 people cost 450,000. He is really rich. As the 4 array masters activated the array, Lu Yue saw the array patterns under his feet light up one by one. At the moment when all the array patterns were all lit up, an invisible wave enveloped everyone. Lu Yue only felt a hum and his eyes were dark. When he regained his vision again, the surrounding environment had changed a lot. The feeling of teleporting for the first time was a bit novel. Lu Yue calmed down his uncomfortable physiological reaction and then carefully observed the surrounding environment. At this moment, they were on a huge open-air platform, which was located on the top of a mountain. The top of the mountain was flat, as if it had been cut by a knife. Outside the platform, there are continuous mountains and clouds within reach. The strong wind blows Lu Yue's robe. At this moment, there are already many monks waiting on the platform. Lu Yue looks around and sees that except for a few middle-aged and elderly monks with strong auras, all of them are young monks who have perfected key training. "Everyone, please walk out of the teleportation array and go to the area of our Wuhu Xianbao pavilion." Outside the teleportation array, a middle-aged monk with a strong aura looked at Lu Yue and others with a kind smile on his face. "Foundation building? No, the aura is deeper than foundation building. If the aura of foundation building is a deep pool, then the middle-aged monk in front of him is a bottomless lake. Could he be a Jinden's Henren?" Lu Yue looked at the kind middle-aged monk and felt awe in his heart. In front of the suspected Jinden's Henren, the group of key training monks naturally did not dare to make any moves. They walked down the teleportation array honestly and followed behind him. In silence, the middle-aged monk led everyone forward. That is the Yin-Yang sect's area. Only 10 people from the Yin-Yang sect came this time. It seems that they have given up on the inheritance of the 9/7 secret realm, the middle-aged cultivator introduced to everyone while walking. Yin-Yang demon sect? Give up the 9/7 secret realm? It seems that this 9/7 secret realm is not the first time that it has been discovered. It's true. If it is so precious, how can it be possible to obtain a quota with spirit stones? Lu Yue's heart moved, and he seemed to look in the direction of the middle-aged cultivator's gaze. In the area pointed by the middle-aged cultivator, a total of 11 people were quietly looking at them. The leader was a cultivator wearing a pink robe and a delicate face. Seeing the middle-aged cultivator introducing them, he smiled at everyone reservedly. Just a smile, Lu Yue felt that his blood was almost boiling, and his face flushed in the blink of an eye. The primitive desire hidden in his heart almost burst out. Fortunately, it was only a moment. As the cultivator of the Yin-Yang demon sect restrained his smile, this feeling quickly subsided. What kind of trick is this? Just one look at me almost made me lose control. Lu Yue's back was covered in cold sweat, and he dared not look at the pink-robed monk who was leading the group. Behind the pink-robed monk were 10 key cultivating perfect monks, 4 male and 6 female. This was the second time Liu Yat had seen the monks of the yin-yang demon sect. As the legend goes, the female monks of the yin-yang holy sect were all beautiful and charming. With a previous lesson, Liu Yat only glanced at them and did not dare to look at them anymore. The middle-aged monk continued to walk forward and pointed to another area and said, "That is the area of the blood-refining sect and the Styx sect." Liu Yat took a serious look and then quickly retracted his gaze. "That is the area of the Evil Moon Valley, that is the 100 Clan Alliance, that is the 10 Absolute Palaces." There were more than a dozen large and small forces. The middle-aged monk introduced them one by one, and finally walked to the area where they were, the Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion of the 9 Treasures sect. With so many forces, Liu Yat really gained some knowledge. Before, the Liu family was in a corner, and his vision was limited to the area within 100 miles of the Liu family. As for the outside world, except for a few well-known forces, the rest of the slightly inferior forces were completely unknown. As Liu Yat and others joined the team of Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion, he found that Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion, which should have been a force, had formed 2 distinct groups. One was the foreign cultivators like them who spent spirit stones to buy quotas, and the other was the cultivators trained by Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion itself. Liu Yat could feel that the cultivators of Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion looked at these foreign cultivators as if they were looking at a bunch of suckers and local rich people. Liu Yat didn't care. He didn't know it before, but now that he came here, his purpose was very simple. The first goal was naturally to do his best to obtain the fluid of heaven and earth and increase the success rate of building the foundation of the heavenly way. The second goal was to possibly contact the cultivators of the blood refining sect and find out the news that Joe was preparing to pass on the true teachings. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Upside Down Mountain, Chains Across the Sky. After Liu Yat and the others joined the team, they became completely quiet. For the cultivators who were obviously from the direct lineage of the major forces, their presence seemed very abrupt. But at this moment, everyone was waiting quietly. There was only the sound of the wind and the occasional light of the teleportation array on the top of the peak. Liu Yat stood in the crowd, constantly observing the other forces. There were more than a dozen forces, large and small, and the number of cultivators participating in the 9 failure trial reached 300. Liu Yat had never participated in any secret realm, but it seemed that such a mature formation and such a harmonious atmosphere were not the first secret realm to be discovered. I should have thought of it earlier, however. There was no point in thinking about these things at this time. Liu Yat quietly adjusted his breath and tried to maintain the best condition. Until a teleportation formation was lit up and a group of beautiful female cultivators appeared, the entire teleportation array was completely silent. "Are all the people here?" The pink-robed cultivator of the yin-yang holy sect took a step forward, and the next moment he was standing in the fierce gale. At the front of Liu Yat's team, the middle-aged cultivator of Jiubao sect also stepped into the air. With a kind smile on his face, he explained gently, "The Jiuduan trial is the only test to enter the Jiuduan secret realm. Only after stepping on the last teleportation array can you enter the Jiuduan secret realm. If you feel that you can't make it to the end, you can choose to hide in a corner and keep your useful body. The trial can be as short as 1 month or as long as half a year. When the trial is over, you will be excluded by the Jiuduan trial. Of course, if you need anything, you can look for disciples of my Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion in the secret realm. We have all kinds of magic weapons, elixirs, talismans, etc. in the team of Zulian sect." An old man with a hook nose was dressed in a blood-red robe. He seemed to have some grievances with the Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion. Seeing this, he sarcastically said, "Humph, you Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion are probably in the pile of spirit stones. At this time, you are still thinking about how to earn spirit stones. Aren't you really afraid that after entering the secret realm, you will be attacked by everyone and divide up the lives and wealth of your disciples?" Haha, I, the younger generation disciple, would like to thank Senior Blood Eagle for his concern. However, our Wuhou Xianbao Pavilion has always valued harmony, and I believe that the disciples of various sects will not embarrass them, The other cultivators of different strength all had vague eyes, and no one knew what they were thinking. 3 cultivators above the foundation building stage gathered in the air. Luya, who was below, saw them each throw out a stream of light, and the 3 streams of light collided with each other, and the space at the collision point spread out layers of ripples like water visible to the naked eye. The ripples spread outwards rapidly, and in just a moment, they covered the entire mountain top. So the sky above the mountain top, which was full of strong winds, suddenly became quiet, and then, like the surface of water, a towering mountain hanging upside down slowly appeared in everyone's sight. Luya looked at the towering mountain that was gradually approaching overhead, and the shock in his eyes was hard to conceal. This kind of scene that can be called a miracle, anyone who saw it would be like him. The 2 identical peaks slowly approached each other. For Luya and others, it was like facing a collapsed giant peak, watching the extremely real giant peak pressing down firmly on them, and it was like the pressure of the sky falling on them. Many monks couldn't help but hold their breath and stare at such a scene. Their faces unconsciously became serious, and their palms were slightly sweaty. Boom! When the upside-down mountain in the sky pressed down on everyone's heads, a loud noise that was not lost in reality resounded in everyone's heart. From a distance, the 2 giant peaks, one upright and one inverted, shook like an hourglass, and also like a reflection in a mirror. From the perspective of Luya and others, the position where the 2 giant peaks touched slowly expanded, and finally formed a deep pool of about 3 meters. This was the entrance to the 9-fragment trial. The 9-fragment trial has been opened. If you don't enter now, when will you enter? With an order, the young monks below immediately moved. 10 monks from the yin-yang demon sect took the lead and soared into the sky, stepping on various misty colors and disappearing at the entrance of the black pool in an instant. Following closely behind were more than 10 monks from the blood-refining sect. Luya saw a stream of blood light like lightning and arrows, shooting straight into the black pool. Seeing that someone took the lead, the others did not stop and rushed into the entrance of the black pool. Brother Zhao, see you in the secret realm. Nangguang was surrounded by 4 people in the middle, whispered to Luya, and then the 5 of them jumped into the black pool together. Seeing Nangguang and others enter the trial, Luya no longer hesitated, jumped, and rushed into the black pool. The black pool was like a phantom, and Luya did not have any obstacles when he passed through it, nor did he feel any discomfort. It was just that his eyes were dark and bright, and when he regained his vision, he had landed steadily. Luya turned his head and looked around, and there was nothing around. Not only could he not see Nangguang and others, but also the rest of the people who participated in the trial this time. It turned out that after entering the trial site, everyone would be separated. Luya couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Although he was not afraid of fighting with others, it was always a good thing for him not to fight directly at the beginning. There was a piece of yellow sand under his feet. Luya tried his best to look into the distance, trying to find something different. But he looked around, and all he could see was an endless sea of sand. There was nothing else. No, there was. At the end of his vision, a black line rose straight up, and it kept getting bigger in his eyes. After a quarter of an hour, Luya finally saw what the black line was. It was clearly a huge chain that was completely black and had an unknown length and width. The chain crossed the sky, making a clanging metal collision sound, as if a dragon roared in the sky, shocking people. Luya looked up and saw that the sky was like a dome. At this moment, above this dome, 18 chains were like 18 black dragons crossing the sky, locking the entire dome tightly. A sense of enlightenment emerged from Luya's heart, and also from the hearts of all the monks participating in the trial. Go to the end of the chain, step on the chain as soon as possible, and climb to the place where the chains converge. Everyone's eyes are looking at the direction where the chain closest to them is spreading, and the goal is clear. Luya is not in a hurry to leave. For the sake of caution, he first took out a set of golden robes that were as red as the sun from the storage bag, and then took out a top-grade long sword weapon. A palm-sized metal shield was placed on the inside of his chest. After changing clothes, Luya still felt dissatisfied, so he slightly controlled his facial muscles, raised his eyebrows, and widened his face. With only some minor changes, even people who are familiar with him would never have thought that this square-faced young man with thick eyebrows and big eyes was actually Luya. Then, he stretched out his hand and pointed, and a burst of flames appeared out of thin air. A winding fire snake emerged from the flames, flew to Luya's shoulders skillfully, coiled up, and intimately spit snake tongue at Luya. After doing all this, Luya patted his robe, turned around and took the first step in the direction where the chain came from. Chapter 63 Sand Sea Trial. As he took a step forward, the fiery red snake on his shoulder instantly raised its head, and its fiery red snake pupils looked around vigilantly. With just one step forward, Lu Ya's face suddenly became solemn. The trial had begun when he took the first step. He had a feeling that it was definitely not so easy to reach the end of the chain. Step by step, Lu Ya walked forward firmly. This walk lasted for half an hour, and all he saw along the way was still a sea of sand. If he hadn't made marks from time to time, he would have doubted whether he was standing still. However, another point also reminded him that he was moving towards his goal, that is, the chain above his head was slightly enlarged in his eyes. Without stopping, Lu Ya continued to walk forward. As for flying, he had tried it before, and only flying a few dozen meters consumed 1/5 of his mana, which was terrifying. It seemed that this was the rule of this trial, and he had to walk to the end of the chain step by step. The chain above his head was getting closer and closer, and the environment around him was getting hotter and hotter. Even Lu Ya's robe with the 4 seasons like spring magic array attached to it had no effect at all. This heat seemed to ignite from the bottom of his heart, gradually burning his body and mind, slowly evaporating his reason. However, in this situation, the little fire snake on his shoulder became more energetic, and even the flame scales on his body became brighter. After walking for more than 2 hours, Lu Ya's body was red like a shrimp. He looked forward and saw that the air was slightly distorted due to the high temperature. He had thought about taking out the water bag from the storage bag to replenish water, but was surprised to find that the storage bag had been blocked and could not be opened. As for condensing water balls through magic, in this environment, he felt a burning pain in his lungs with every breath. It was obvious that there was no moisture in the air. Fortunately, although he could not fly or open the storage bag, the spiritual energy in this environment was very abundant. Lu Ya kept absorbing the spiritual energy around him and used it to nourish his body so that he would not be evaporated by the high temperature. Under the same chain, the same steps, Nangguang Wudi's condition was much better. He held a small green jade gourd in his left hand and a ball of ice cone emitting cold air in his right hand. He would take a bite of the ice cone from time to time, and then drink a mouthful of the spiritual liquid contained in the green jade gourd, which was very comfortable. As for how he took out the ice cone and the green jade gourd, it was because he took them out when he just entered the trial. It can only be said that this is the child of a wealthy family. For others, it is a trial, but for him, it is just a picnic. Niuiao was bare with a pair of round and smooth 3-inch jade feet. Every step she took, the yellow sand submerged her in step, but when she took another step, her jade feet were still smooth and clean. As her waist swayed, her lotus steps moved lightly. As her eyebrows looked around, she seemed like a fairy. As the most outstanding candidate for the Saint of Yin Yang Holy Sect in the contemporary era, Niuiao's talent is unmatched. Among the 10 people of Yin Yang Holy Sect this time, she is also the strongest in combat power. Originally, with the help and support of the sect, she could have used the rare treasures of heaven and earth to build the foundation of the Tao, and become the strongest foundation of the Tao in the 7,000 years since the founding of the Yin Yang Holy Sect. But she still came here, not for anything else, but for the legendary flowing slurry of heaven and earth, and the possibility of building the foundation of the Tao of heaven. Her posture was calm, as if the high temperature that distorted the air did not exist for her at all. Her figure was even more swift, often appearing 7 or 8 meters away in a step, with an extremely fast speed. The more than 300 people who entered the 9-broken trial, facing such a sea of sand, showed their own methods. Some walked, some ran, and some climbed. In short, everyone was using their own methods to quickly rush to the end of the chain. As everyone passed the halfway point of the journey, the true horror of the sea of sand was fully revealed. The sky gradually dimmed, and the previous terrifying high temperature gradually subsided. Lu Ya's body, which was extremely hot, was blown by the cool breeze, and his whole body shuddered, and the light in his eyes lit up again. It's going to be night. Lu Ya pursed his lips and his thoughts turned. The night in the desert came very quickly. In less than a quarter of an hour, the original high temperature completely subsided, replaced by a bone-deep cold. This transformation from extreme heat to extreme cold made Lu Ya tighten his robe. Although it could not slow down the temperature, it gave him a little comfort and made him feel less cold. Gradually, the sky became darker and darker, and finally it was pitch dark. The whistling wind, the friction of stepping on the sand, and even his breathing gradually disappeared. Boom, boom, in the empty and lonely sea of sand, only Liu Ya's heartbeat could be heard, as if Liu Ya was the only one in the world. Liu Ya kept moving forward in the direction of his memory, even if his eyes were completely dark, it could not stop him. It was hot during the day and cold at night, and this cycle lasted for 4 days and nights. After experiencing 4 days of ice and fire, except for a few people who could still maintain the state at the beginning, most people showed obvious fatigue and helplessness. During these 4 days, the physical fatigue was secondary, and the main thing was the mental torture that made many monks almost unable to resist. Even though many monks would go into seclusion at any time, they were experts in seclusion. However, after encountering such a monotonous, boring and crazy trial, they were still tortured by this boundless loneliness and almost gave up. On the 5th day, Liu Ya was walking in the shadow cast by the iron chain, and he heard a whisper in his ear. He stopped where he was and tried to listen carefully. Unexpectedly, the whisper suddenly became louder, and all the thousands of words were reduced to one sentence: "Give up, there is no end." The whisper seemed to have a magical power, tempting all those who were not strong-willed. After Liu Ya heard the specific content of the whisper, he put it behind his mind and continued to move forward. After walking for another 2 days, a full 6 days, Liu Ya was finally about to reach the end of the chain. The moment he stepped out of the sand sea, the storage bag that was originally sealed was also unsealed. Looking at the black chain that seemed to rise from the end of the horizon in the distance, Liu Ya sat down cross-legged without hesitation, took out food and fresh water, and began to replenish his body's water and nutrition. After replenishing, he began to sit cross-legged and meditate again, practicing the exercises to nourish his body. Because within his field of vision, 5 monks have appeared, just like him, they are regulating their breathing and recovering. From this moment on, the monotonous marathon has ended, and next, they will face opponents who also want to climb the chain. After Liu Ya meditated for an hour, a black dot suddenly rose into the air in the distance, and drove the magic weapon to rush towards the end of the iron chain. Seeing this, the others sacrificed their magic weapons and chased after him. Chapter 64, Fishing Enforcement. The 5 people in his sight quickly rushed to the end of the chain, but Liu Ya was not moved at all. It was not until 3/4 of an hour later that Liu Ya's body regained its vitality under the nourishment of magic power, and he stood up. The fiery red top-grade magic weapon longsword automatically flew in front of him, and Liu Ya stepped on the back of the sword and soared into the sky. At this moment, a fire snake lying on his shoulder shot towards the longsword like lightning, and the snake's body hit the longsword, like a raging fire boiling oil, and the terrifying flames instantly wrapped Liu Ya in it. Accompanied by a loud cry, the orange-red flames intertwined like a net, and in the blink of an eye they intertwined into a pair of wide wings made of flames. Then, the slender neck stretched out from the flames, and a loud cry was coming out of the bird's beak. Liu Ya stood on the top of the fire phoenix with his feet on the long sword. As the flaming wings flapped, he flew towards the end of the chain like an arrow from a string. In the past 6 days, Liu Ya had been controlling fire all the time to resist the high temperature and extreme cold of the sand sea. During the day, the extremely high temperature almost ignited the mana in his body, so he used the fire control technique to forcibly control the high temperature in his body, so that the mana was kept at the critical point of boiling. At night, the extreme cold seemed to freeze his body and mana together, so he used fire to warm himself up to prevent himself from being frozen into an ice stick. During this process, his experience in fire control began to soar. Although he set out 3/4 later than others, with the blessing of the fire phoenix, Liu Ya only took half an hour to reach the end of the sky chain. At this time, at the junction of the chain and the ground, 9 monks were confronting each other, their eyes occasionally glancing at the chain, and then quickly shifting to others, their eyes full of vigilance. A cry came from the sky, and everyone turned their heads to see a huge fire phoenix swooping down towards their location without any scruples. "There's someone on top of the fire phoenix," a sharp-eyed cultivator couldn't help but exclaimed. Disperse. In the eyes of the crowd, Liu Ya stepped on the fire phoenix and landed in the middle of the field they had made way for. The flames spread outwards, then quickly shrank, and the fire phoenix quickly shrank, finally turning into a palm-sized body standing on Liu Ya's shoulder. Everyone looked at each other, and they all saw suspicion in each other's eyes. They should have heard of a cultivator with such terrifying control over fire. After Liu Ya landed, he only glanced at the other 9 people, and then put his hands behind his back and read the golden words engraved on the chain. Such arrogant behavior was simply a naked humiliation to the other 9 people. A Wuhu Valley cultivator who had perfected his key training snorted coldly and took the initiative to step forward. Although he didn't know the fire cultivator in front of him, who was only at the 9th level of key training, he thought of his perfect key training strength, and as a true disciple of the sect, he was used to being bossy on weekdays, so how could he tolerate Lu Ye showing off in front of him? Fellow Taoist has such a big temper that he doesn't take us seriously at all. Although the cultivators of Wuhu Valley didn't like Lu Ye and chose to be the first to speak out, with just one sentence, Lu Ye was placed on the opposite side of the 9 of them. After hearing this, Lu Ye finished reading the last bit of the introduction, then turned around and looked at the male cultivator who spoke. "Who are you?" The male cultivator of Wuhu Valley became angry and took another step forward, saying, "I am Chen Huzi, a true disciple of Wuhu Valley." "Who are you?" "Oh," Lu Ye responded, no longer paying attention to the rooster that seemed to have entered a fighting state, and turned his head again to look at the chain in front of him. The chain was like a steel sky curtain, covering him in front of him. According to the introduction, each chain could withstand a maximum of 10 people and a minimum of 5 people. This also means that the number of people who can climb the chain can be artificially limited to 5 people. Apart from himself, he only needs to face the other 4 people. In this way, the competition pressure is instantly reduced by half. Thinking of this, Lu Ye turned around again and looked at the 9 people. The 9 people came from different forces, but without exception, they were all young monks who had perfected their key training. This also led to the 9 people being wary of each other, and no one dared to take the lead in walking onto the chains. Although Lu Ye has always adhered to the principle of not causing trouble, not afraid of trouble, it does not mean that he is a stubborn person. How could he let go of such a good opportunity to make money easily? Lu Ye raised his foot and was about to walk onto the chains. Seeing this, everyone could not hold back immediately. The nearest person directly sacrificed a magic weapon, and a wind blade instantly attacked Lu Ye's back. Lu Ye stopped immediately, casually sidestepped to avoid the wind blade, turned his head to look at the person who made the move, and his eyes flashed with excitement. Without any words, in the horrified eyes of the other 8 people, Lu Ye's body was covered in flames, and his figure instantly disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he had already clamped the neck of the person who had just made the move tightly in his palm. "You don't want me to go up," Lu Ye brought him in front of him, and said in a grim tone, "You don't want me to go up, so you want to cut off my chance? Cutting off my chance means you want to block my path. I have no grudges against you in the past or today, but if you block my path, you are my mortal enemy. Tell me, should I break your neck?" At the end, Lu Ye exerted force with one hand, as if he would break his neck in the next moment. The man who made the move showed despair on his face, and he could already feel the breath of death approaching him. At this moment, the big hand that was strangling his neck loosened, and he, who was almost suffocated, couldn't help but gasp, his eyes full of relief. Lu Ye leaned over and looked at him and said, "But I have always been kind to others, and I don't mind giving you a chance to reform. I don't know if you want it." "Yes, yes, yes." Seeing him nodding like pounding garlic, Lu Ye smiled with satisfaction. "You also know that blocking someone's path is a life and death feud, so I should kill you, so you owe me a life. Now your life is in your hands. How much do you think your life is worth?" As he spoke, the fire phoenix on Lu Ye's shoulder flapped its wings and flew to the waist of the person under him. Its young beak kept pecking at the storage bag hanging on his waist. Reminded by the fire phoenix, he quickly opened the storage bag, took out a pile of spirit stones and elixirs, and placed them in front of Lu Ye. Lu Ye's spiritual sense swept over, his brows furrowed, and a cold smile flashed across his mouth. "After all, you are the true teaching of the sect, and your life is worth only 100 middle-grade spirit stones and a pile of elixirs. I gave you a chance, but you don't know how to cherish it." Lu Ye sighed, and in his regretful eyes, he beheaded him with a knife. He took off the storage bag from the corpse and put his magic weapon into the storage bag. Lu Ye turned around and smiled at the remaining 8 people. Facing the smiling Lu Ye, the other 8 people were like rabbits being stared at by a tiger. A chill rose from their tailbone and instantly spread all over their backs. "Let's go together and kill him, otherwise none of us can go up," someone shouted angrily, and the remaining 8 people immediately offered their magic weapons and besieged Lu Ye. Chapter 65, Above the Dome. Facing the siege of 8 people, Lu Ye calmly used his protective aura. The protective aura that he had cultivated to the limit was much higher than the defense of the first-level advanced magic golden light body protection. It was like an extremely thick eggshell covering Liu Yao. The attacks of the 8 people fell on the protective aura, making a thump-thump sound, and could not break Liu Yao's protective aura at all. Don't hold back, break his defensive magic weapon and see what other tricks he has, the male cultivator from Wuhu Valley shouted loudly. He regarded the protective aura outside Liu Yao as a rare defensive magic weapon and tried to break Liu Yao's defense. In response, Liu Yao just smiled faintly, calmly picked up the long sword, and his figure exploded like a spark, and rushed into the siege of 8 people like a Tyrannosaurus. After a moment, Liu Yao put away the long sword, and the 8 people who participated in the siege had already fallen to the ground and lost their fighting power. This is impossible. The male cultivator from Wuhu Valley had his legs broken. He was lying on his back in the mud, looking at Liu Yao unwillingly. He couldn't understand why this unknown fire cultivator, who was also in the late stage of key training, could be so strong that he could easily defeat them in a 1-on-8 situation. Even Zhang Zhuan, who was known as the best key cultivator in Wuhu Valley, seemed unable to do a 1-on-8 and remain unscathed. No, let alone a 1-on-8, even a 1-on-5 situation, Zhang Zhuan couldn't do it. Just as he was thinking, Liu Yao walked in front of him. Buy your life or die? Facing Liu Yao's indifferent expression, he finally chose to open the storage bag and let Liu Yao plunder it and buy his life. After plundering everyone, Liu Yao patted the storage bag on his waist with satisfaction, threw a few people on the chain at random, and then walked onto the chain, stepped over everyone and rushed to the end of the chain. The dark chain spanned the sky and went straight into the clouds, as if it really locked the entire sky. Liu Yao walked on it, as if walking on the dragon ridge that connects the sky, getting closer and closer to the sky. Liu Yao had experienced the length of the chain when he was in the sea of sand, and walking on it again this time, the feeling was completely different. It was still alternating between high temperature and extreme cold, but as Liu Yao continued to approach the sky, the higher the temperature, the colder the extreme cold. Liu Yao didn't know how others got through this long distance, but as far as he was concerned, he could only rely on his own flame and physique. After walking for another 10 days, Liu Yao finally successfully reached the top of the chain, and the sky seemed to be within reach. 18 chains gathered here, and the layers of chains crossed and penetrated, forming a huge black platform. Liu Yao stood at the end of the chain, with the edge of the platform in front of him. He looked far away, but he couldn't see the specific situation on the other 17 chains. According to the text description on the chain, the black platform will only be open when people on all the chains appear on the edge of the platform, or after 12 days have passed. At this time, everyone standing on the top of the chain can enter the platform and participate in the second round of trials. As for the specific situation of the second round of trials, no one knows, because it is random. Time passed little by little, and the platform in front of Liu Yao was still not open, and no one came behind him. With nothing to do, he began to count the previous gains. The 9 people before were all outstanding young people in large sects or large families, and they were naturally wealthy. Just the spirit stones contributed more than 1,100 medium-grade spirit stones to Liu Yao. In addition, there were more than 100 jade bottles containing elixirs. Liu Yao checked them one by one, and suddenly his hand paused, with shock in his eyes. He opened the white jade medicine bottle in his hand, and a familiar medicinal fragrance came to his face. He quickly closed the bottle stopper. Foundation building pill. This familiar fragrance was emitted by the foundation building pill. Liu Yao could never have imagined that such a precious pill was actually carried by these monks participating in the trial, and they were not afraid of losing both their money and their lives in an accident. But after thinking about it, Liu Yao was relieved. He just fell into the thinking error of the emperor uses a golden hoe. For their Liu family, the foundation building pill is a rare and precious pill that requires a huge price to obtain. But for the big forces that have mastered the method of refining the foundation building pill and have sufficient resources, the foundation building pill is just a slightly rarer pill. The evil monopoly capital is really everywhere. Liu Yao put away the foundation building pill and carefully put it into the storage bag on his chest. Then he searched through the harvest again, but found nothing special, so he had to put the harvest back into the storage bag. When they return to the family, it will be their time to shine. After cleaning up the harvest, Liu Yao habitually opened the skill panel. Name, Liu Yao. Lifespan, 20/96 years old. Realm, 9th level of key training. 15/100, skills, great success of Chongchun Gong. 4812/5000, skills, fire control technique at the highest level. 160882/200000, body protection aura peak. 50000/50000, ground spike peak. 50000/50000, peak splitting knife technique peak. 50000/50000, breath holding technique peak. 50,000 Zuanyang Yiki Ju peak. 3617/50000, wind control technique peak. 32584/50000, minor success of Jingfang curse. 751/2000, magical powers, none. After this period of non-stop use of fire control technique, the experience gained has increased rapidly. In just half a month, it has increased by 40,000 points, and it is not far from the limit of the highest level. Lu Ye felt that if he was given a little more time, he might be able to push the fire controlling technique to the limit of the realm in this trial. I don't know if there will be a next stage or magical powers after the fire controlling technique reaches the limit of the realm, Lu Ye thought for a moment, then looked at the column of skills. The Chongchun skill is not far from reaching the peak. I wonder what special functions the peak level Chongchun skill can have. Lu Ye's eyes were a little hot. The Chongchun skill that had reached the peak not only greatly accelerated his cultivation progress, but also performed very well in the recovery of ki. This was also the cornerstone for him to release a large number of spells in battle. If there was no Chongchun skill that could recover ki, Lu Ye would definitely be much more cautious in using his magic power. And he would not be able to do it as he pleases now. However, the experience that Chongchun skill can gain every day is relatively limited, and Lu Ye did not take it too seriously. He just let it go and let it come naturally. The wind control technique has also reached the peak, and is not far from the transformation realm. I will strive to reach the transformation realm before I build my foundation. After looking at his various skills, Lu Ye closed the skill panel, feeling full of energy, and wished he could return to the family right now to start gaining experience. However, after being blown by the strong wind from the top of the sky, Lu Ye sat in meditation again. Now was not the time to go out whenever he wanted, as his goal had not yet been achieved. It was not until the evening of the second day after Lu Ye arrived that a slowly rotating dark vortex appeared in front of him. Looking at the vortex in front of him, Lu Ye stepped into it without any hesitation. Chapter 66 Gravity Bodybuilding. With one step, the space changed. 1 second Lu Ye was still in the sky, and the next second he appeared on a black continent. The moment he stepped into the black land, before he had time to observe the surroundings, he felt his body suddenly sink. The ground under his feet seemed to have magnetism, trying to absorb all his flesh, blood and bones. Bang! Lu Ye supported the ground with one hand, his forehead was bulging with veins, and his muscles were trembling. This is gravity, much higher than the gravity outside. Lu Ye took several deep breaths in succession, and with his strong body and perfect control of his body, he slowly stood up. This ordinary action took Lu Ye a full minute. After standing firm again, Lu Ye was not in a hurry to take a step. He stood in place, constantly adjusting his body. After a few minutes, he had recovered. Feeling the sense of falling from all parts of his body, Lu Ye slowly took a step and walked towards the stone tablet not far away. At first, every step Lu Ye took would leave a deep footprint on the ground, but gradually, the footprints became lighter and lighter. When he walked in front of the stone tablet, he was no different from usual, and there was no sign that he was bearing a gravity far greater than that of the outside world. If Lu Ye had not been successful in bodybuilding, he would never have been able to do this so easily. He looked at the stone tablet. At the top of the stone tablet was a simple map. There was only one route on the map. One end was at the location of the stone tablet where Lu Ye was standing at the moment, and the other end was a simple circular magic circle. If Lu Ye guessed correctly, the end of the route should be the teleportation array that teleported out of this place. I didn't expect that the teleportation array at the end would have a limited number of uses. It seems that I need to reach the teleportation array as soon as possible. After Lu Ye memorized all the information on the stone tablet, he no longer hesitated, identified the direction, and then began to hurry on his way with big strides. At first, Lu Ye was just running normally, but as his body gradually adapted to the gravity of this world, His eyes became brighter and brighter. Lu Yue has always been worried about the fragile organs in his body that are difficult to exercise. However, in this gravity world, every cell in his body is bearing the ubiquitous gravity, and he found that his body strength, especially the organs in his body, are increasing at a slow but firm speed in the process of resisting gravity. After discovering this, Lu Yue's movements gradually became wild. He no longer deliberately suppressed his own strength. Every step he took was extremely heavy. While stirring up a large piece of black ash, he rushed upward with the help of the reaction force, and then fell heavily to the ground. In this way, his speed became faster and faster, the distance he took each step became farther and farther, and the height he jumped became higher and higher. In this process, whether it is his own explosive power or the impact force when landing, it is a tempering of his body. This violent way of strengthening the body strength can only be used by any monk with a weaker physique at noon. Just like Nangguang Wudi at this moment. At this moment, Nangguang Wudi, who weighs more than 200 kilograms, is walking on the black ground with great difficulty with the help of 4 helpers. Why is there such a horrible place in this trial? It's really too bullying. Nangguang Wudi lay on a beautiful and gorgeous sedan chair with no desire to live. 4 helpers who had perfected their key training carried the sedan chair and walked steadily towards the finish line. If other people participating in the trial saw this scene, they would probably even want to kill this fat man. Master, do you feel bumpy? Do you need us to be more stable? The sedan bearer in front of the left asked while walking and looking back. It's okay, it's okay. Thank you for your hard work, but I have to speed up. I don't want to run to the finish line with so much hardship and end up not being able to get in. Nangguang Wudi waved his hand, then took out 4 jade bottles from the storage bag and threw them to the 4 people. If the consumption is large, take some pills to replenish it. The 4 people took the jade bottles, all with a happy look on their faces, and their walking speed increased by 3 points. The pills given by Nangguang Wudi were all second-level high-quality pills. This kind of pill has an excellent recovery effect even for cultivators in the late stage of foundation building. This small bottle alone is worth 25 medium-grade spirit stones. If Lu Yue knew about this, he would only curse him as a spendthrift. Lu Yue ran for more than half an hour in one breath, and finally felt exhausted, so he gradually slowed down and planned to take a rest. But at this moment, the moment his peripheral vision passed over a boulder, 2 blood-red figures appeared in his field of vision, which dispelled his thoughts. People from the blood-refining sect. Lu Yue looked over the boulder and saw 2 blood-red figures moving quickly on the land in the distance. The moment Lu Yue appeared in the other party's field of vision, the 2 opponents decisively changed direction and ran towards Lu Yue's position. Huh? Lu Yue's eyes lit up. He was just thinking about how to intercept the other party, but he didn't expect the other party to take the initiative to come to him. So in the eyes of the 2 people from the blood-refining sect, Lu Yue also quickly approached the 2 people. This wave of running in both directions, in the eyes of those who didn't know, they would think that there was a deep friendship between the 3 people. However, compared to the normal speed of the 2 people from the blood-refining sect, Lu Yue's speed was obviously a little faster. As the distance gradually approached, seeing Lu Yue rushing like a Tyrannosaurus, the violent and bloodthirsty eyes of the 2 people from the blood-refining sect began to dissipate, their eyes gradually became clearer, and their steps became slower and slower. When Lu Yue was less than a mile away from the 2 people, the 2 turned around and ran without stopping at all. Seeing the 2 people turning around and running, Lu Yue became anxious and shouted angrily, "Stop!" The 2 people heard Lu Yue's roar. Not only did they not stop, but their movements of leaving became even faster. Seeing this, Lu Yue no longer held back, and he opened his full speed, approaching behind the 2 people with a rumbling sound. Before the people arrived, the golden sword energy had already shot in front of the 2 people. Feeling the sharpness of the golden sword energy, the 2 people had to dodge to the sides. Lu Yue chased to the right, while muttering something in his mouth, holding one hand in the air. And then a ball of lightning burst out from the palm of his hand, leaping a distance of nearly 70 meters, and hitting the cultivator of the blood-refining sect on the left. The strong electric current paralyzed his whole body, and he fell to the ground and twitched continuously. Seeing that the palm thunder was successful, Lu Yue took 2 steps at a time and approached the monk on the right, and the ground spikes directly blocked the opponent's way. Seeing that the way ahead was blocked, the monk of the blood-refining sect had a fierce look in his eyes, and his blood-colored magic power was boiling. A rapidly rotating blood cone shot towards Lu Yue's face. Facing the opponent's attack, Lu Ya pointed with one hand, and a series of golden sword ki flew out, constantly blocking the flight path of the blood cone. More than 10 golden sword ki went down, and the blood cone was knocked to the ground. Lu Ya flashed and approached, and shouted loudly, and the exorcism technique that reached the peak of the limit came out, turning into a strange shock force, shaking the opponent's eyes. When he came to his senses, he was already lying in the black soil. Dear bosses, there will be one update tonight. Some things delayed it. Sorry. Chapter 67, Yin Yang Saint. You two Daoists saw me before, as if I were a close friend, and ran towards me. Why did you avoid me like a snake when I got close to you? Did I disappoint you? Lu Ya's masculine face was full of grief and anger, and coupled with his kind words, he gave people a very sincere and serious feeling. The two demon cultivators from the blood refining sect lying on the ground looked at Lu Ya deeply, and couldn't help but regret why they had just fled. If they had known that they would meet such a person, they would definitely not have run away directly, otherwise they would not have been seriously injured. Looking at the way you two Daoists are dressed, if my guess is correct, you two Daoists should be from the famous blood refining sect. Lu Ya said polite words, but he was merciless, and picked up the two of them one by one. Yes, we are the inner disciples of the blood refining sect. I wonder where you are from. The two people from the blood refining sect looked at each other, and the one who was numbed by the lightning in his palm asked. That's great. Lu Ya clapped his hands, as if he didn't hear his question at all, and spoke to himself. I wonder if my two Taoist brothers have any new true disciples born in your sect in recent years? To be honest, I have a good friend who went to your sect a few years ago to participate in the sect entrance trial. I still remember that he told me before he left that he would definitely become a true disciple of the blood refining sect, build a foundation and form a pill, and eventually become a nascent soul cultivator. Lu Ya looked at the two of them expectantly, and the eagerness in his eyes did not seem fake. The two people from the blood refining sect were silent for a moment. After thinking for a while, one of them said, in recent years, no true disciples have been born in the sect. It seems that your friend should be. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by another person in time. He looked at Lu Ya's increasingly dangerous eyes and suddenly had an idea. Fellow Taoist, although there is no true disciple born in the sect, there are 3 candidates for true disciples. I wonder what your friend's name is. Lu Ya laughed and said, my friend's surname is Zhou. I wonder if he is one of the candidates for true disciples. Surname Zhou. It seems that there is really such a person. His name is Zhou Pingzi. I heard that he was favored by the 5th elder and plans to accept him as a true disciple after the next sect competition. The two of them talked back and forth, and soon told the news about Zhou Pingzi. Good. Lu Ya excitedly punched the ground beside him, making a dull sound. Such a huge force made the eyelids of the two people from the blood refining sect jump. They could see that the physical cultivator in front of them was not a simple and honest person, but a moody psychopath. I wonder if you two Taoist brothers have seen my good friend. I haven't seen him for several years. I wonder how he looks now. Can you describe him to me? This is simple. If junior brother Zhou knew that there was a close friend like you who cared about him silently, he would be very touched, another person said, using his magic power to draw an image of a man with a cold face, slightly wrinkled eyebrows, and narrow eyes on the ground. Yes, it's my close friend. Lu Ya looked at the portrait carefully several times and nodded in praise. I didn't expect that after so many years. He is still so cold and arrogant. I don't know when I can see him again. You don't have to be like this. Junior brother Zhou has also come to the 9 Breaks trial this time. If there's a chance, it would be a great thing to meet him in this secret realm. Lu Ya's eyes lit up. He never expected that the surprise came so suddenly. He quickly helped the two men up, with an apologetic look on his face. Just now, I was Meng Lang, and I was a little too heavy-handed. I accidentally hurt the two Taoist brothers. I apologize here. From now on, you two are my best friends. The two people from the blood refining sect looked at each other obscurely, and both saw a flash of murderous intent in each other's eyes. Just before the two of them were ready to fight, Lu Ya's big hand had already placed on the back of their necks. He stood behind them, leaned over and whispered in their ears, "Life is too long and too painful. As a close friend, I should send you off." Wait, crack. 2 crisp bone-breaking sounds rang out, and the two people from the blood refining sect fell limply to the ground and quickly lost their lives. Pulling the storage bag off the two people and putting the magic weapon into the storage bag, Lu Ya set the two bodies on fire, and then performed more than 10 exorcism spells in succession before leaving with peace of mind. Joe Pingzi, my best friend, I'm here, are you leaving just like that? A sudden question came from behind the rocks not far away. Luya turned around and looked behind the rocks. Come out, you are really ferocious. I am so scared, the ethereal voice floated into Luya's ears, and then Luya saw a woman in a black gauze skirt and bare feet slowly walking out. She was wearing a half-face mask on her face. The mask was yin and yang, covering the entire area above the tip of her nose, revealing the slightly raised blood-red lips below. She looked both charming and sexy, and with a kind of baby-like purity. The mask could not cover her eyes, and Luya could clearly see the teasing in her autumn water eyes. People from the yin-yang holy sect. Luya's heart moved. When he entered the trial site before, it was this black-dressed masked woman who entered first. So you are a disciple of the holy sect. I wonder if you have any advice? Luya kept a safe distance and asked. The woman in black covered her mouth and chuckled, and stepped forward with her bare jade feet. I don't deserve your advice, but Uiao and Brother Deo hit it off right away, so I came here to get to know each other. Sorry, I have something else to do. Goodbye. Luya turned around and left without saying anything. The methods of the yin-yang holy sect are a bit weird. The pink-robed monks before did nothing to make them lose their composure. The demon woman opposite looks good, but there is no guarantee that she has some secret magic, so it is better to stay away from her. Brother Deo left like this, I will be sad. The woman in black made a heart-shaped gesture with both hands and looked at Luya with resentment. The beauty frowned. As she held her heart, this pitiful scene fell into the eyes of Luya, who was about to retreat, and he stopped uncontrollably. Seeing Luya stop, Nayuao's mouth curled up slightly. A mere key training monk, under her Xian Wu Yao Mingju, could only surrender. As long as the yin-yang Ming seed is planted in the other person's mind, this person will become her prisoner and be driven by her. Shit. I got hit again. The moment he stopped, Luya reacted without hesitation, and the orange flames wrapped in the true fire of the sun instantly spread over his body. The moment the true fire of the sun wrapped around his body, Luya regained his ability to move, and the cold light of the top-grade magic weapon in his hand flashed, and he rushed towards Nayuao in an instant. Before the person arrived, a half-human fire phoenix with flames all over its body had already rushed over. A trace of surprise flashed in Nayuao's eyes, and then the scallion white jade finger pointed out, and strands of light pink light intertwined in front of her, and in an instant, it formed a large net. Chapter 68, The Saint Who Has Never Seen the World. The 7 Emotions Smoke Net. Those who are caught in it are deeply trapped in the 7 emotions and cannot extricate themselves. Nayuao pointed out with one finger, and her graceful figure flew backwards like catkins, retreating while still saying tenderly, Brother, come and chase me. If someone who didn't know the situation, they would think that the two were flirting here. But in fact, when Luya saw Nayuao retreating continuously, his body lost control again, and mechanically crashed into the pink net. His body couldn't move, and Luya's mind moved, and the fire phoenix plunged into the pink net without hesitation. Zizzy, the pink net quickly evaporated under the burning of the flames. Then the scattered flames formed a giant flame snake with a head and body and 2 horns in an instant, opening its mouth and biting Nayuao's retreating body. Brother, you really don't know how to be gentle with the women. Nayuao didn't make any moves, and the fire snake became smaller and smaller until it was completely extinguished. It was not until this time that Luya regained control of his body. His face was quite ugly. This feeling of powerlessness of being manipulated by others really made him angry. Looking at Nayuao, whose figure was ethereal in the distance, his eyes were full of murderous intent. Without saying a word, golden sword energy swarmed out. Then, he muttered something, and a breeze rose from his side. Nayuao looked at the swarming golden sword energy and Luya, who was obviously casting a spell, and she no longer retreated blindly. She waved a ribbon-like magic weapon, and the ribbon swelled in the wind. The seemingly soft and fragile ribbon blocked all the golden sword energy. Brother Deo, Nayuao's face was like a peach blossom, and she called out in a delicate voice. Luya raised his head uncontrollably, and saw her biting her lower lip lightly. Her face was infinitely shy, and her eyes like autumn water were yin and yang, exuding a strange attraction. Luya's eyes lost focus in an instant, and his expression suddenly became rich, either happy or sad, changing unpredictably. The wind-shocking spell that had just been completed also attacked Nayuao uncontrollably. The strong wind approached her instantly. Nyuao's face changed, and she recalled the silk ribbon magic weapon to protect herself from the strong wind. The strong wind came quickly and went away quickly. After 2 breaths, Nyuao regained her mobility. Looking at Luya, who was still trapped in the illusion, she raised the corner of her mouth, touched the ground with her bare jade feet, and a strange ripple spread along the ground to Luya's side. Luya unconsciously looked at Nyuao's bare jade feet, and saw a round and smooth white jade foot tapping the ground uneasily, which made people want to hold it in their palms and cherish it. The yin and yang energy in Nyuao's eyes became more and more intense, and a faint seed formed between Luya's eyebrows. Once this yin and yang seed is completely materialized, Luya can only become a puppet driven by others, and there is no place to turn over. The yin-yang seed gradually solidified between Luya's eyebrows. Nyuao suddenly showed a strange color on her face. Her blood-red lips suddenly became bright and juicy. Her pink and tender feet took a step in the air. Suddenly, Luya's body trembled twice, his face was pale, and the blood color was gone. But his eyes gradually regained their spirit. After regaining consciousness, Luya looked at Nyuao with a strange expression, and then sighed. Nyuao is really a powerful charm illusion. Hearing this, Nyuao did not show any joy, but instead smelled a little irony from it. This felt like she was taken advantage of. Not only did the other party not apologize at all, but he patted his butt, pulled up his pants and said, "It's just average." This made her angry and said, "Nyuao is also good at tricks." As she said that, she glanced at the center of his chest and frowned. On the inside of Luya's chest, a first-level high-level talisman guardian talisman slowly turned into ashes. It was this guardian talisman that allowed him to wake up from the decadent environment created by the other party. With Nyuao's illusion, Luya estimated that even if he had practiced key perfection, it would be difficult to block it. Unless he had a protective treasure, he would have a chance to escape. If he hadn't had a little spiritual fire in his consciousness and the protection of the protective talisman, he might have gotten her way. But now that he has experienced her fear, he will not be defenseless next time he faces this demon woman from the yin-yang demon sect. Luya stroked his chin, as if recalling the scene just now. "I have learned from the illusion of fellow Taoist, but I didn't expect it." He paused here, and looked up and down at the upper body, until Nyuao frowned, and then said vengefully, "I didn't expect it. You, as a disciple of the yin-yang holy sect, with unparalleled beauty and talent, can remain a virgin in an environment like the yin-yang holy sect. It's really rare. How did you know?" Nyuao's face flushed like blood in an instant, no longer charming and sexy as before, but full of helplessness and immaturity after the disguise was exposed. "How did you know?" Luya curled his lips in disdain. It was just a few traditional moves over and over again. There was really no novelty at all. For Luya, who had received in-depth education from multiple teachers in his previous life, this was really like showing off his sword in front of Guangguang, overestimating one's own ability. Perhaps she understood Luya's expression. Nyuao gritted her teeth, looked at Luya deeply, and then turned around and left angrily. "Come when you want, leave when you want." Seeing this, Luya strode towards Nyuao, and a steady stream of spells were released by him, rushing towards Nyuao. Nyuao turned around, and the ribbon in her hand danced into the shape of a dragon sucking water, resisting layer by layer, and then quickly went away with a huge impact force. Luya chased for a distance, then gave up the idea of continuing to chase, returned to the direction from which he came, and quickly rushed towards the finish line. One goal has been achieved, and it has been exceeded. It has been learned that the fish that escaped the net of the Zhou family is in the secret realm. Compared with this unknown yin-yang demon sect, which, Zhou Pingzi, is the current Luya's primary target. Without these 2 episodes, the rest of the journey was not troublesome at all. In front of a not-so-large teleportation array, Luya stopped and watched. It had been half a day since he arrived at this destination. He had been waiting here for half a day, but he did not see Zhou Pingzi. However, he did see an acquaintance, Nanguang Wudi. The moment he saw Nanguang Wudi, he was stunned for 3 seconds. He really couldn't imagine that there were really people who treated the secret realm trial as a vacation. Looking at Nanguang Wudi sitting in a comfortable sedan chair, Luya really didn't know what to say. But at this moment, his appearance changed. When he saw Nanguang Wudi and others, he just watched coldly from the side without any intention of greeting them. Nanguang Wudi signaled the 4 people to put him down, and then asked Luya, who was standing aside, "My fellow Taoist, I wonder if you have ever seen a male cultivator who is about 20 years old, As handsome as me, but thinner than me, is he looking for me? Lu Yu looked at his weight of about 200 pounds, and then thought about his own well-proportioned physique, and suddenly his face was filled with black lines. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Treasures That Fascinate the Eyes. Never seen it, Lu Yu squeezed out 3 words from his teeth expressionlessly. After saying that, he stopped paying attention to the 5 people and continued to wait and see. Nangguangwudi was not unhappy at all after being met with Lu Yu's cold face. Instead, he happily led the 4 people into the teleportation array. After Nangguangwudi left, Lu Yu waited for a while, but still did not find Zhou Pingzi, so he turned around and stepped into the teleportation array decisively. One step in, as if stepping from the ground into the clouds, the gravity of several times disappeared, making Lu Yu feel like floating in the air. In front of him was a majestic and magnificent palace complex, with purple gold beams, white jade pillars, blue bricks and tiles, and pavilions and towers lined up one after another, showing a magnificent atmosphere. However, at this moment, these magnificent palaces were like guards, arching over a magnificent palace in the center. At this moment, Nangguangwudi and others were standing outside the palace, under a stone tablet. Lu Yu stepped forward and heard Nangguangwudi complaining. "What's going on? They won't let anyone in." Lu Yu stepped forward and saw a faint barrier in front of Nangguangwudi and the others, which was flickering with light. Lu Yu understood immediately. After Lu Yu came in, the teleportation array behind him lit up one after another. Soon, the stone tablet was full of people. Every time the teleportation array lit up, Lu Yu would carefully observe the monks entering this place. After the teleportation array lit up again, Lu Yu narrowed his eyes slightly and turned his head with a normal look. 2 figures in blood-colored robes walked down the teleportation array. One of them was Zhou Pingzi, who was described by his fellow disciples of the blood-refining sect. The 2 walked down the teleportation array, looked around, and then walked quickly towards the 3 blood-refining sect monks who had already arrived here. In this way, among all the forces present, the yin-yang demon sect had 7 people present, the blood-refining sect had 5 people present, and the rest of the forces had 2 or 3 people, and some were like Lu Yu, who came here alone. The yin-yang demon sect has undoubtedly become the largest force on the scene. This advantage has reached its peak after the arrival of Niuiao, the candidate saint. Niuiao still wears the yin-yang mask, but unlike Lu Yu's previous experience, she only nodded proudly in the face of the greetings from many disciples of the yin-yang demon sect, like an elegant black swan, standing proudly in front of the yin-yang demon sect. However, after meeting Lu Yu's eyes, her bright lips curled up slightly, with a hint of pride in her eyes, as if saying, "How can you fight me with such a large group of people like this, saint?" Lu Yu did not make any expression to this. After looking at Niuiao, he looked away and glanced at Zhou Pingzi from time to time. After Niuiao arrived, the teleportation array lit up several times and then disappeared. At this moment, there are already 51 people in the field. It seems a lot, but there are more than 300 people who have entered the trial. In other words, 5/6 of the participants were left in the previous trial. Either die or give up. In short, the 9 broken secret realm has nothing to do with them anymore. The moment the teleportation array disappeared, the barrier blocking everyone also slowly faded away. When the barrier completely disappeared, the originally majestic and magnificent palace group suddenly burst into colorful treasure light one after another. Each palace has more or less 1 or more treasure lights. Hundreds of thousands of treasure lights shot up into the sky, reflecting in the eyes of the crowd, making everyone feel dizzy after being hit by the overwhelming wealth. Heavy breathing sounded in the crowd, and then it seemed to have triggered a chain reaction, and a large number of panting sounds sounded. Many people looked at the palace with treasures in front of them with red eyes, and their legs moved forward uncontrollably. "Charge, grab!" I don't know who shouted the first time, and the crowd began to commotion violently. Many monks rushed to the palace in front of them with red eyes. Lu Yu stood there motionless, and the magic weapon did not have much attraction to him. However, after the 5 people from the blood-refining sect started to move, Lu Yu's eyes flashed and he also started to move. Nangguangwudi led the 4 people to walk in carelessly. Compared with those monks who were chasing the treasures, he was more like a tourist who came here for an outing. Seeing Liu leave, Niuao immediately left the yin-yang demon sect team, stepped into the air, and went in the direction where Liu left. Saint, senior sister Nai, the monks of the yin-yang demon sect behind him hurriedly spoke, but only exchanged for a cold and ruthless figure. This hall is locked. Quickly change to the next one. Liu Yao walked forward and saw the monks constantly shuttling through the buildings like sharks smelling blood. Although the entire palace complex was full of precious lights, most of them had locked doors, and array patterns flashed on the doors. Many monks pushed the door together, but still couldn't push it open, so they had to rush in along the avenue and look for palaces without closed doors. During this process, Liu Yao also tried to push 2 doors, but there was still no movement. However, he also perfectly blended into the crowd following the blood refining sect. After crossing 3 buildings in a row, the 5 people from the blood refining sect finally saw a palace with its gate wide open. 3 rays of light above the palace were dazzling. Seeing this, the people from the blood refining sect rushed to the door and blocked the palace door. They turned around and looked at Liu Ya and others who had been following them. The blood refining sect wants this palace. Get out of here, the leading male cultivator from the blood refining sect shouted at the crowd in a very arrogant manner. Why? This palace was discovered by everyone, and we should explore it together, a person shouted loudly from behind the crowd. That's right, that's right. Why do you people from the blood refining sect block the door and drive us away? Do you think you are so great? That's right, I am not a pushover. The 8 people talked one after another, and their words were all the same, that they wanted to enter the palace and search for treasures together. I'll say it again, get out of here, or you'll die. The leading male cultivator of the blood refining sect looked at the 8 people opposite with terrifying blood in his eyes. His ferocious appearance could not scare the people who were already overwhelmed by the treasure. Seeing him like this, the other 7 people took out their magic weapons and looked at the 5 people of the blood refining sect, as if they would fight immediately if they disagreed. Liu mixed in the crowd, also took out his long sword, took out his defensive magic weapon, and fanned the flames, saying, "Fellow Taoists, why waste time talking to them, just rush in and grab the treasure first." After saying that, he rushed forward first, and fireballs condensed and hit the 5 people opposite. That's right, charge. With Liu Ya in front, the other 7 people were instantly overwhelmed by impulse, and one by one they took out their magic weapons and attacked the palace door, and a melee broke out instantly. Dear big brothers, happy Valentine's Day. I won't disturb your good time tonight, and I will update it once for the holiday. Chapter 70 Problem Solving. Both sides have perfected their key training and are the best in their respective forces. Needless to say, their own strength is self-evident. The 2 sides were able to fight thanks to Liu Ya's instigation. As soon as the fight started, all kinds of magic weapons and Taoist arts were flying all over the field. Seeing the 2 sides fighting, Liu Ya, who was the first to attack, was wearing a protective aura, and operated a breath-retaining technique. He retreated slightly into the crowd, staring at Zhou Pingzi of the blood refining sect opposite. Zhou Pingzi was in the blood refining sect. Even though he was fighting 1 against 2 at this moment, he still had a cold and calm expression. He held a blood-colored long banner in his hand, and blood light came out of the banner and attacked the 2 people opposite. There was a blurred face in the blood light, and the face was distorted and weird, as if it had suffered great pain. A sharp and piercing roar came out of the empty mouth, which made the 2 people fighting with him pale, and even the control of the magic weapon began to shake. Such strength is enough to match the identity of the blood refining sect's preparatory true disciple. Liu looked at Zhou Pingzi and felt lucky that he had participated in the 9 broken trial. If he had not participated, when Zhou Pingzi came out of the trial, his strength would surely increase. By then, he would successfully build his foundation and his sex status would greatly increase. That would be the time when their Liu family would be destroyed. The 2 people opposite Zhou Pingzi gradually showed signs of exhaustion under the attack of the blood-colored long banner. Zhou Pingzi saw this, and a flash of blood flashed in his eyes. The long banner slammed heavily on the ground, and the blood-colored face became more and more painful, as if he was crazy and attacked the 2 people. The 2 people looked cautious and tried their best to protect themselves, and they even had the idea of retreating in their hearts. Brother Dao, don't panic, I'll help you. Before the 2 turned their heads, they felt a strong wind blowing past them, followed by a scorching heat that twisted even the air. Liu stepped over the 2 people and rushed to Zhou Pingzi in 2 steps. Zhou Pingzi looked at the ordinary fire cultivator in front of him, watching him swing the longsword in his hand and chop it himself. A cold look flashed in his eyes, and a dark green jade pendant on his waist was instantly activated, and a thick blood-colored light shield enveloped him. The Blood Demon Body Shield is the most famous body protection spell of the blood refining sect. To practice this method, one must use the blood of at least 3 people, and the secret method of the blood refining sect. Once it is practiced, not only is the defense ability 3 times stronger than the Golden Light Amulet, but the attached dirty blood resentment can also corrode the magic weapon and reduce the power of the Taoist magic. Zhou Pingzi naturally has not yet mastered this spell. This black jade was given by his master, and it was attached with a spell for him to use as a body shield. However, it must be enough to deal with the long knife that Lu Ya chopped at this moment. Dang! The long knife slashed on the blood-colored light shield, stirring up a little bloody smell. The bloody smell attached to the long knife like a maggot on the tarsal bone. And the spiritual light on the long knife in Lu Ya's hand faded at a speed visible to the naked eye. Zhou Pingzi snorted coldly and set his sights on the 2 people in the distance. With a blood demon's protective shield, he would deal with the 2 people before dealing with this ignorant fire cultivator. The previous slash by Lu Ya did not even have 30% of its power. Zhou Pingzi's performance was within his expectations. A trace of cruelty flashed in his eyes covered by flames. Lu Ya no longer held back. All the terrifying power was poured into his right hand holding the knife. The long knife chopped down Zhou Pingzi's head with a momentum of cutting through the sky and breaking the earth. Before the long knife came to him, Zhou Pingzi's heart shrank suddenly. The terrifying and heavy killing intent rushed towards him, making him tremble all over. If he couldn't dodge this knife, he would die. Die? Before Zhou Pingzi could move, a loud shout rang in his ears, which shocked his soul and made his magic power stagnate for a moment. At the moment he paused, the long knife was already on him. The blood demon protector that Zhou Pingzi relied on was shattered into pieces in an instant by Lu Ya's full-strength slash, like an egg hit by a boulder. Even the black jade had a crack that went through the jade pendant. The blood demon protector was chopped and exploded, and the long sword was no longer blocked. The flash of the sword passed by, and Zhou Pingzi only felt a slight numbness in his shoulder, and then his vision was spinning. Before he landed, he saw a big foot stomping down in front of him. Puff! Lu Ya stepped down and crushed Zhou Pingzi's head, and the exorcism spells that had been prepared fell one after another. Everything was so unexpected, the whole process was lightning fast, and it was just a blink of an eye. Junior brother Zhou, seeing Zhou Pingzi being killed instantly by Lu Ya, one of the blood-refining sect's eyes turned red, his magic power was surging, and a strong smell of blood filled his body. He slapped Lu Ya with one palm. With a push, a disgusting bloody smell came towards him. Lu Ya did not want to fight at all, and used his body aura to resist his palm, and then took advantage of the impact to instantly go away. The people from the blood refining sect wanted to chase him, but were blocked by the other 7 people. They could only watch Lu Ya disappear in the building complex. Lu Ya circled several building complexes in one breath, and saw that no one was chasing him, so he stopped. He used the true fire of the sun to disperse the dirty blood on the long sword, and then Lu Ya controlled his muscles again to change his appearance. Not long after, a thin man in a black robe walked out of the building complex. It was Lu Ya in disguise. After killing Zhou Pingzi, Lu Ya finally got rid of her worry and reduced the disaster for his family. Next, he only needed to find the heaven and earth flowing slurry, and his goal this time would be completed. However, the specific location of the heaven and earth flowing slurry made Lu Ya feel troubled. Lu Ya was just struggling with his dilemma when he saw a male cultivator from Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion walking towards him from afar. He was holding a white banner in his hand with the words "Equal Exchange, No Deception" written on it. When the other party saw Lu Ya, he immediately smiled and said, "I'm Feng Jiayu from Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion, nice to meet you." Fellow Taoist, Lu Ya's heart moved, and he also bowed in return. "Hello, fellow Taoist, I see that you are confused. I wonder if there is anything that my Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion can do. As long as you are in this Juduan secret realm, there is basically nothing that my Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion doesn't know," Feng Jiayu said, shaking his head, holding the white banner. Lu Ya was delighted, and then asked, "I wonder if fellow Taoist Feng knows the exact location of the heaven and earth flowing slurry?" Feng Jiayu nodded confidently and said, "Anyone who enters the secret realm basically comes for 2 things. One is the heaven and earth flowing slurry that can increase the success rate of foundation building, and the other is the inheritance of the 9 broken secret realm. The former is scarce, and the latter is too difficult. I, Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion, naturally know these two. After saying that, Feng Jiayu pointed to the white banner in his hand and said, my Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion emphasizes that harmony brings wealth. Fellow Taoist's question is worth 10 medium-grade spirit stones in the 9 broken secret realm. I wonder if you need it. Lu Ya looked at Feng Jiayu, then looked at the white banner in his hand, and finally understood why the cultivators of Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion looked at them like fat sheep before entering the secret realm. It turned out that they were waiting for them in this secret realm. Lu Ya could afford 10 medium-grade spirit stones, but that didn't mean he was willing to be the one to be slaughtered. Seeing Lu Ya's increasingly dangerous eyes, Feng Jiayu smiled calmly. There is no need to be like this, fellow Taoist. We in Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion have always been fair and honest, and this price is fair. If you are not willing, we will have to cooperate next time. Farewell, big guys, please give me some recommendation votes and monthly votes. It is also very important to keep reading. Don't keep reading. If you want to keep reading, please take the time to click to the last page. Chapter 71 The Saint Invites. Wait, Lu Ya forced a stiff smile on his thin face, staring at Feng Jiayu and said, what if I want to know? Wait a minute, fellow Taoist. The monks of Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion are not good at fighting, but they are very good at saving their lives. If you want to cooperate with Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion in the future, it is better for us to part ways in peace. Feng Jiayu put the white flag on his back, put one hand in front of him, and advised. Lu Ya stepped forward, it's just a piece of news. If you tell me, it's good for you, me, and everyone else. Isn't it beautiful? Feng Jiayu shook his head, his movements were slow but firm. Rules are rules. You can lose your life, but you can't break the rules. After saying that, Feng Jiayu's feet were like the wind, and the whole person retreated rapidly, saying as he retreated, fellow Taoist, see you later, goodbye. His speed was so fast that he appeared 100 meters away after the voice fell. With such a fast speed, ordinary key training monks basically gave up the idea of chasing after him. Seeing this, Lu Ya just smiled coldly, pointed with one hand, and a dark blue wind whistled out, catching up with Feng Jiayu in the blink of an eye. Shuck wind curse, Feng Jiayu's smile was not revealed before he was pressed back by the wind that was already close to him. This is impossible. How could a Kegon cultivator practice this second-level spell? The wind approached him, making Feng Jiayu feel like he was falling into an ice cave, with his hair standing on end. He was shocked. Dao, please. Before he could finish his words, Lu Ya had already come in front of him, opened his skinny big hand, and slapped him to the ground. Crack, Lu Ya slapped him, and there was a sound of bones cracking. He looked at Feng Jiayu curiously, and saw a half-real and half-virtual tortoise shell appear on Feng Jiayu's body. The crack sound just now came from this tortoise shell. Feng Jiayu fell to the ground, looked at Lu Ya and persuaded him, Dao, this is the secret defense method of our Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion. Even if a foundation-building cultivator comes here, it is impossible to break it in a short time. Dao should give up, so as not to miss the opportunity. Impossible to break it. Lu Ya's thin face once again showed a stiff smile, and he suddenly raised his foot and stepped heavily on the turtle shell under his feet. With a bang, Feng Jiayu sank 3 inches, and the floor tiles under him that had existed for 1,000 years were shattered by the huge force. Wow, a hint of sweetness emerged in Feng Jiayu's mouth, and it was obvious that he was injured by the huge force. Seeing this, Lu Ya stepped heavily again, then leaned over and looked at Feng Jiayu and said, Dao Feng, I may not be able to break this defense, but I don't know if you can withstand it with your life. Feng Jiayu stiffened his neck. Rules are rules. Boom, boom, boom. Wait, I say. Lu Ya retracted his foot that was about to step down, and pulled Feng Jiayu, who had sunk into the ground, out with his shell. Feng Jiayu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with lingering fear, changed his previous tough attitude, and said with a flattering smile, Dao is a Taoist master. My Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion likes to make friends with Xianjiao cultivators like you. There is no need for you to make a big fuss over a piece of news. Before Lu Ya could speak, Feng Jiayu continued. The heaven and earth flowing slurry was formed by Jiuduan Taoist using the top-level spiritual treasure Kyankan Jiuduan furnace to smelt the essence of heaven and earth. It took thousands of years to finally gather. According to the information of my Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion, This time the heaven and earth flowing slurry is for at most 2 people, and usually manifests a golden red treasure light. The specific location is in the left refining room of the Jiuduan Palace in the center. As for how to use it, I don't think I need to explain it again. Lu Yao looked in the direction Feng Jiayu pointed, and saw that on the left side of the Jiuduan Palace, a magnificent palace was emitting this rich golden red light. As for how to use it, Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion had already told Lu Yao when he bought a trial quota, so there was no need to say more about it. Abandoning Feng Jiayu, Lu Yao was about to rush towards the direction of the weapon refining room. Dao, wait a moment. Feng Jiayu struggled to get up, handed a jade pendant that was neither gold nor jade to Lu Yao, and explained, my Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion likes to make friends with Xianjiao cultivators like Dao. If you need it in the future, bring this jade pendant to my Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion, and my Feng family will welcome you. Lu Yao turned around and took a look. Fearing that he would tamper with a jade pendant, he turned around and left without hesitation. Dao, if you don't want the jade pendant, you can come to my Wuhu Xianbao Pavilion in the future, mention my name Feng Jiayu, and say Jingfeng again, and I will know. Even if it is thousands of miles away, I will come to see you. Feng Jiayu looked at Lu Ya's back and shouted loudly. Lu Ya walked forward and found that several cultivators were going in the same direction as him, and he immediately understood. When they arrived at the hall where the golden red treasure light was, there were already 13 people gathered in front of Lu Ya's hall, including Niuao, who had met before. Niuao stood alone in front of the palace gate, while the others looked at her and the palace behind her with fear. When she saw Lu Ya, who was dressed in a black robe and walking slowly, a sly look flashed in Niuao's eyes, and she gave Lu Ya a meaningful look. Seeing this, Lu Ya understood that this witch might have seen through his disguise. Junior sister Uio, how about you and I join forces to share the fluid of heaven and earth? A man in a blood-stained robe approached quickly, and then turned into a handsome monk who appeared in front of everyone. He turned his back to everyone and looked at Niuio, with a flash of surprise and desire in his blood-stained eyes. The first person in key training of the blood refining sect, rumored to be the last direct disciple of the Blood Sea Patriarch Zhao Filang, a cry came from the crowd, recognizing the man in the blood-stained robe. Niuao's mouth corners slightly raised under the mask. Without even looking at Zhao Filang, she said in a charming and gentle voice, Brother Dao, how about we join forces? The other people's faces were even more fearful. Originally, Zhao Filang made them extremely fearful. If Niuao agreed to join forces with him, they might need to unite to enter the weapon refining room. But now even Niuao, a saint of the Yin-Yang demon sect, has to call him Brother Dao and take the initiative to invite him. Who is the Brother Dao she is talking about? Tread, tap, tap. Very light footsteps came, and everyone saw a thin black-robed monk walking step by step to the front of the temple door. Niuao even took the initiative to move half a step to the side and let him have a seat. Zhao Filang turned around and looked at Lu Ya, who was walking slowly forward, his eyes full of blood, and he did not hide his murderous intent. He stared at Lu Ya, clenched his fists, turned his head and looked at Niuao and questioned. Just for such a loser, you actually refused to join forces with me, Brother Dao? It seems that you are looked down upon. Niuao's lips curled up with a stunning arc, and with a hint of teasing, he looked at Lu Ya. Lu Ya had a blank expression on his face, and he climbed up the stairs. Even when he passed by Zhao Filang, he did not move at all. Big guys, please give me some recommendation votes and monthly votes. It is also very important to follow the book. Don't support the book. If you want to support the book, please click to the last page. Thank you very much. Chapter 72 Expulsion. Zhao Filang watched Lu Ya approaching him. His thin face was extremely indifferent, his lifeless eyes staring straight ahead. Zhao Filang clenched and unclenched his hands, then clenched and unclenched them again. When Lu Ya walked in front of him, he finally couldn't hold back. His blood-red robe moved without wind, and a faint blood-red light lit up in front of him. Lu Ya's lifeless eyes moved slightly, first looking at the bloodlight in front of Zhao Filang, then sweeping across his neck, and finally looking into Zhao Filang's blood-red eyes. Lu Ya's sight only passed by, but a layer of fine bumps suddenly appeared on Zhao Filang's neck, as if he would be beheaded in the next moment. By the time Zhao Filang reacted, Lu Ya had already brushed past him and walked in front of Niuao. Niuao folded her hands in front of her belly, bowed slightly to Lu Ya, and said, Hello, Brother Dao. Lu Ya turned his back to the crowd, looked up slightly at Niuao, The saintess of yin-yang demon sect, who was standing at the top of the steps and looked half a head taller than him, with confusion and vigilance in his eyes. He didn't understand why the candidate saintess of yin-yang demon sect was like this. If it was just because of the last contact that caused the other party to look at him differently or even fall in love with him, he would not believe it with a single spirit stone. If it weren't for the fact that joining forces with her could reduce a lot of unnecessary trouble, Luya would rather blend in with a big team and fish in troubled waters instead of being such a leader. What if I don't want to join forces with you? Luya's lips opened and closed, and his voice did not fluctuate at all. Hearing this, Nayuao's bright red lips outlined an intoxicating smile on her flawless white face, and then said, "Then I will have to join forces with them and ask Brother Dao to leave the secret realm first." Luya took a closer look at her, took a step forward and stood side by side with her, looking down at the people under the steps. "Fellow Daoists, please go back. There are countless opportunities, but only one life. Don't make mistakes." As soon as Luya's cold voice fell, someone in the crowd shouted loudly, "Who do you think you are? How dare you make us make mistakes?" Yes, if the saint said that, then we still need to think about it. "Who are you?" Luya looked at them calmly, stretched out one hand, and then clenched it. 3 ground spikes broke out of the ground in a triangular shape, with one of them as the center. Even if the other party was prepared, the protective aura of the body still shattered like bubbles under the peak level power of the ground spikes. In just a moment, the ground spikes pierced his body from 3 directions. The thick ground spikes almost replaced his body. In the blink of an eye, he was dead. Such a quick and brutal method made everyone present jump in their hearts. The ground spikes appeared too quickly and too hidden. The most important thing is that they are much stronger in both sharpness and power. They couldn't help but compare secretly, and found that even if they were prepared, they would still be pierced through in an instant and die on the spot. This result made them feel a chill in their hearts. The gloomy black-robed Taoist in front of them could be invited by the yin-yang saint, and his means were really fierce. Luya killed the first person who spoke in one move, and then looked at the second monk with a cold look. "Wait, I give up. You guys fight for the heaven and earth flow." Facing Luya's eyes that seemed to be looking at a dead person, the other party finally couldn't stand it, hurriedly threw down a word, turned around and left. His departure seemed to take away all the confidence in the hearts of the remaining people. In a short moment, the crowd that had originally gathered disappeared, and only Zhao Feiliang was unwilling to stand where he was. Zhao Feiliang looked at the 2 people standing side by side opposite him, and finally snorted unwillingly, and turned into bloodlight and flew away again. He was a genius who had the hope of becoming a god, based on the fact that he was just eating and drinking water. Now that the 2 people on the opposite side have joined forces, there is no need for him to give up his life for such a small opportunity. Seeing that everyone had left, Luya reached out and summoned the storage bag of the person he had killed before, then turned around and stepped into the hall called the refining room. Nayuao was not angry either, and followed him with a smile and entered the hall as well. When both of them entered, the huge door of the hall slammed shut. The interior of the palace called the refining room was extremely luxurious, with rows of precious materials placed on the shelves. Even Nayuao, a cultivator from the yin-yang holy sect who was used to luxury, was also shocked. Luya was calm instead. Anyway, he didn't recognize anything in this palace, and it was nothing more than something he thought was more valuable. He was only concerned about where the heaven and earth flowing slurry was now, and everything else was secondary. According to what Feng Jiayu said, the heaven and earth flowing slurry was smelted in the Kyankan Judoin furnace. To find the heaven and earth flowing slurry, it seems that we have to find the Kyankan Judoin furnace first. The 2 walked side by side, passed through rows of shelves, and crossed a door, and finally came to the refining room. Luya saw a huge furnace that was 5 meters high standing in the center of the refining room. The furnace was golden, with 3 legs and 2 ears. The bottom of the round furnace wall was engraved with mountains, rivers, seas, birds and beasts. The upper part was surrounded by 9 cloud dragons, and each dragon head was inlaid with a gem of different colors. It just stood there simply, like a huge gravitational vortex, absorbing the free spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth all the time. The Kyankan Judoin furnace. The first time he saw it, Luya could be sure that this was the Kyankan Judoin furnace that smelt in the essence of heaven and earth. The slurry of heaven and earth is right in front of you, Taoist brother. Nayuao's voice sounded in Luya's ears. Luya turned sideways to look at Nayuao. At this moment, She raised her jade head slightly and looked at the top of the furnace. The cover that should have existed there was nowhere to be found. Luya thought about it and chose to show his cards directly. I don't want to have a conflict with you, fellow Taoist. You and I will each take half of the heaven and earth flowing slurry, and then we won't interfere with each other. How about that? Niuiao nodded gently. Everything is up to you, Taoist. However, empty words are not enough. As a woman, I am really worried. You are worried? Luya's face darkened. If he had a choice, he would never join forces with this witch. Seeing Luya like this, Niuiao laughed softly, tapped her jade feet lightly, and floated up. Brother Taoist, do you really take it seriously? Hearing this, Luya summoned a defensive magic weapon and slowly rose to the top of the furnace. In the huge furnace mouth, a ball of bright silver jelly quietly floated in the belly of the furnace, and it didn't seem to have the slightest treasure light that a natural treasure should have. Brother Taoist, the heaven and earth flowing slurry cannot be obtained by conventional means. You can only go deep into the furnace and collect or use it yourself. Please, Brother Taoist. Niuiao smiled with a deep look in her eyes. Luya shook his head and said firmly, I don't trust you, you come in with me. Niuiao's smile was a little stiff. She didn't expect Luya to say such a thing so directly. But in an instant, she smiled and said, Brother Dao invites you, I will accept it. Dear readers, this book will be on the shelves at 12 noon tomorrow. I hope you will support me. Lihu will work hard to write it. Chapter 73 The Dagger Revealed. The two entered the furnace together. Luya's spiritual sense locked onto Niuiao. If she showed any abnormality, he would retreat immediately. But until the two arrived in front of the heaven and earth flowing slurry, Niuiao still looked normal. Brother, can you trust me now? Niuiao said calmly. Of course. Luya withdrew his spiritual sense, took out a jade bottle, and gestured to Niuiao, ready to collect the heaven and earth flowing slurry. Niuiao also took out a jade bottle and aimed it at the heaven and earth flowing slurry. Then the two began to collect it tacitly, and after 2 minutes, they stopped at the same time. The original location of the heaven and earth flowing slurry was now empty. Seeing that the heaven and earth flowing slurry was coming, Luya no longer hesitated, distanced himself from Niuiao, and quickly flew towards the furnace mouth. But after flying for a few breaths, he found that the furnace mouth was still far away, and the distance did not change at all, as if he was thousands of miles away from the furnace mouth. He turned back suddenly, but found that Niuiao was still looking at him with a smile. You knew it a long time ago? The voice was like thunder, full of anger, resounding in the space inside the furnace. Niuiao's delicate chin moved slightly, and she said, If not, how could Brother Dao willingly enter this Kyankan Judoin furnace? Once the heaven and earth fluid is collected, the Kyankan Judoin furnace will be reignited, and everything in the furnace will turn to ashes. Luya took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice, What do you want? It's simple. Brother Dao, let go of your spiritual protection and let me plant a yin-yang seed. You will still be you in the future, and the heaven and earth fluid will still be yours. The smile on Niuiao's mouth gradually widened, and her eyes under the yin-yang mask flashed with brilliance, without any trace of weakness and naivety from before. Luya's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he asked, Now that you have planted the yin-yang seed in me, my life and death are in your hands. You tell me to go east, but I cannot go west. Even if you tell me to lick your toes, I will do it, right? Niuiao retracted her pink jade feet and took a step back in fear, saying, How could I let you do such a thing, brother? Besides, the yin-yang seed only makes you become my follower, it has no other use. What if I say no, brother? You still have 15 breaths. Either choose to die or release your consciousness and let me plant the yin-yang seed in you. Niuiao retreated while counting down, 9 breaths, 8 breaths, 6 breaths. Luya stood in midair, his magic power burst out instantly, and he shouted, You want to enslave me, but you don't even see if you have the life to do it. Woman, stay here. With a powerful force stepping down, there was a bang in the air, like bursts of thunder, and Luya rushed towards Niuiao like an arrow. Wisps of blood mist burst out from Luya's body. With his desperate outburst, he rushed to the bottom of Niuiao in an instant. A ball of gale suddenly appeared, and in the blink of an eye, it appeared above Niuiao's head, covering her head and trapping her in it. Luya held the dazzling lightning in his hand with one hand and a claw. With a snap, the lightning flashed and passed through the distance between the two, hitting Niuiao. A thin layer of yin and yang appeared on Niuiao's body, blocking the jumping lightning outside the body, and then she stepped across to avoid a gale falling on her head. This action gave Lu Ya an opportunity. He opened his mouth and spit out more a ball of fire, which turned into a small snake as thick as a little finger, and came in the air like lightning. In the blink of an eye, it rushed in front of Niuao. The small snake of fire exploded, and the terrifying impact of the fire pressed her half of her head down. Ha! A strange wave of sound entered Niuao's ears. She was in a trance for only a moment, and then she regained consciousness. Seeing Lu Ya's fierce resistance, she no longer hesitated and rushed to the furnace mouth quickly. Looking at Lu Ya under her, she shouted, "There are only 4 breaths left. You still have a chance. Promise to plant the yin-yang seed, and I will take you out." Lu Ya's whole body was red, and the yang true anger burst out. He suddenly opened his eyes, and a white light that was 100 times more dazzling than the sun pierced Niuao's eyes like a sword. She instinctively closed her eyes, and at the moment she closed her eyes, Lu Ya held his hand in the air, and an invisible big hand grabbed Niuao's ankle like lightning and pulled it down fiercely. Niuao, who was about to reach the furnace mouth, was forcibly pulled down by Lu Ya. Her face changed drastically, and her magic power surged, and she flew towards the furnace mouth. Lu Ya grabbed her ankle, laughed, and exerted force again. "Take me out? Come back to me, let go of me quickly, I will take you out together." Niuao watched the huge furnace cover fall down, and said to Lu Ya anxiously. "It's too late." Lu Ya grinned, his white teeth flashing a cold luster. As soon as the voice fell, the Kyankan Judoan furnace cover fell down with a bang, and the entire furnace was integrated, leaving no possibility of escape. Niuao's face under the mask was extremely ugly. She looked at Lu Ya, wishing to cut him into pieces. "Don't look at me like that, you started it first." Lu Ya smiled grimly. "Now that things have come to this, I won't lose anything by pulling a demon sect saint to be my scapegoat." Niuao was about to speak when she found that the whole furnace suddenly ignited a raging fire, and hurriedly used her magic power to resist. Lu Ya also had no time to care about anything else. With a thud, the flames spread all over his body, using fire to resist fire, so as to block the high temperature of the furnace flames. Gradually, the flame inside the furnace became darker and darker, and the temperature became higher and higher. Even with the flame and the sun's true fire blocking it, the top-grade robe Lu Ya was wearing began to melt. If this continued, he would definitely die in this furnace within 3 hours. Niuao was even worse off. Even though the magic weapons she used were all top-grade first grade, under the burning of the furnace flame, the spiritual light quickly disappeared, and even the yin-yang mask on her face lost its function. After another half an hour, Lu Ya's robe had been burnt to ashes. Niuao was also naked, curled up behind a huge shield that looked like golden wood, struggling to resist the refining of the flames. Lu Ya held up the protective aura, looked at Niuao's miserable state, and laughed. "I didn't expect that the Saint Lady of the Yin-Yang Holy Sect, who is extremely talented, would one day undress in front of the lower world and be naked. It is said that even if you die under the peony flowers, you will still be romantic. I, Zhao Tai, am worthy of it." Niuao curled up behind the shield. Seeing Lu Ya like this, her eyes seemed to be about to spit fire. "Huh?" Lu Ya's laughter stopped abruptly, and he looked at the void in front of him with surprise. In the skill panel that only he could see, due to the resistance to the furnace flames, the experience of the fire control technique was increasing wildly, and at this moment it had reached the realm of transformation. 171882/200000. The speed was so fast that it almost reached the point of 2 points of experience per second. At this rate of growth, as long as 2 hours or so, his fire control technique would reach the limit of the realm of transformation. Lu Ya's eyes suddenly brightened, and it was possible that his hope of survival was here. Dear readers, the book will be on the shelves at 12 noon tomorrow. I hope you will support me by spending 1 cent to place a first order. The first order data is very important for a book on the shelves. It almost determines the future life of the book. Thank you all. Chapter 74, Remarks on the Release. Dear readers, this book will be officially available at 12 noon tomorrow. This is Lihu's second book to be available. As a new writer, it would be a lie to say that I am not nervous. Since I am writing a book, I definitely hope to achieve better results and make some money. It would be best if I can achieve financial freedom through writing. It is a bit difficult at the moment, as we all know, The subscription after the book is available determines the future life of a book and the direction of subsequent results. Here, Lihu also shamelessly asks all readers for the first order. I will update 2 chapters at 12 noon tomorrow, and 2 to 3 chapters in the evening. Because I am a part-time worker and have to go home to take care of the baby after work, I can only write after I get everything done after get off work every day, but Lihu will try my best to write. After that, I will update 2 to 3 chapters every day, and write as much as I can. In addition, let me talk about the rules for adding more chapters. I don't have too high aspirations. If the first order exceeds 300, I will add 1 chapter for every 100 more, and there is no upper limit. I really hope to add 100 chapters. As for monthly tickets, if the monthly tickets exceed 1,000 that month, I will add 2 chapters every month. As for rewards, Lihu doesn't have any extravagant demands. I'm very happy to be able to subscribe. If you have the conditions and feel that the book is good and want to reward me, you can also give me some rewards. If you reward me, 5,000 points will add 1 more chapter, and the leader will update 25 chapters, probably not. Thank you very much for your recommendation votes, monthly tickets and reward support. Thank you very much. If there are book friends on QQ Reading, please go to Kidian. After all, this is the first station. Lihu will try to revise the problems in the book. Lihu is also learning how to tell a story more attractively and fluently. In short, write more, read more, and make continuous progress. Finally, at 12 noon tomorrow, everyone, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Chapter 75, Invitation from the Saint. With this thought, Lu Yan no longer paid attention to Niuiao's situation, and concentrated on controlling his own flame to resist the increasingly strong flames in the furnace. As time passed, the Kyankan Judoin furnace seemed to be in the molten magma at the bottom of a volcano. If Lu Yan had not practiced Qi in the 9th level and was already able to breathe, the lack of oxygen alone would be enough to kill him. He sat cross-legged at the top of the furnace, where the temperature was relatively low. Countless spiritual stones surrounded him, providing him with spiritual power to support the consumption. Niuiao sat cross-legged beside him. In the face of life and death, she no longer cared about the difference between men and women. Her white skin, as white as mutton fat, turned red under the scorching flames. Her mutton fat jade body sat cross-legged, outlining a thrilling arc. Unfortunately, Lu Yan had no intention of appreciating this picture of the beauty's fragrant sweat. His attention was all on the experience of fire control. With a rapid increase of experience, his control over the flame became stronger and stronger. The flame he controlled gradually turned dark red, and the temperature was also terrifying. Another hour passed, and Lu Yan's hair had been completely engulfed by the flames. As for muscle control, he had long lost it, and his face had returned to its original appearance. Fire controlling technique. 17854/2/200000. In 1 hour at most, his fire control technique would reach its limit. He was confident that with a fire control technique at the limit of the realm, he could barely resist the flames in the furnace. Suddenly, Niuiao's eyes widened, and the yin-yang mask covering her face instantly turned into dust. Her face, which she had deliberately concealed, was completely exposed to Lu Yan, and at the same time, an amazing charm emanated from it. Lu Yan just glanced at her casually, and was almost completely attracted by her. Reluctantly calming his mind, Lu Yan turned his back to Niuiao, no longer looking at this deadly beauty, and concentrated on resisting the flames. Brother Dao, I can't do it anymore. The hot jade body suddenly passed through the flames and pressed against Lu Yan's back, and a painful and hoarse female voice sounded in Lu Yan's ears. He was startled, and then he found Niuiao was already wrapped around his back with a look of pain in her eyes. He had no time to break free, so he had to let her hug him from behind. Ignoring her, Lu Yan continued to concentrate on gaining experience points in the fire control technique. Brother Taoist, Niuiao looked at Lu Yan's young, heroic but cold face, bit her lip and frowned as she called out again. Lu Yan's heart of Taoism was shaken, and he almost couldn't maintain the protective aura and the flames outside his body. He squeezed out 2 words from his teeth. What's the matter, Brother Taoist? In about half an hour, the furnace will enter the formal refining stage, and the flames will rise by at least 2 steps. We alone can't resist it. Lu Yan was shocked. He thought the flames in the furnace would slowly increase, but he didn't expect it to be like this. Humph, I can't protect myself anymore. You'd better pray for yourself, Lu Yan snorted coldly. Even with a beauty in his arms, he was not moved at all. Let alone anything else, just the fact that she intended to enslave him was something that no cultivator could forgive. Niuiao spoke again. Brother Dao, I have a method that can help you and me get through this. Lu Ye didn't even look at her, squeezed out a word, and said sarcastically, Humph, what method? Do you need to plant some more seeds of your yin-yang demon sect in me? Brother Dao, you misunderstood. You and I are in danger at this moment, and I am not a person who doesn't understand the overall situation. Niuiao leaned on Lu Ye's shoulder and took a breath, and then continued, my yin-yang holy sect uses the method of yin and yang dual cultivation as the foundation of the sect. As a saint, I have to pass on the sect's supreme secret method. My yin is still there, and your yang is not lost. You and I, with this secret method, the yin and yang blend together, stimulate the yin and yang in the body, and live forever. We should be able to resist the refining of this furnace, and maybe even go further. After listening to this, Lu Ye's eyebrows jumped. What is this? The beautiful demon sect saint personally made a request for dual cultivation? At this moment, even if the outside world was on fire, Lu Ye still felt that his life seemed to have come to a crossroads. Reason told him that as the saint of the demon sect, the other party was definitely the most scheming and cunning. Any suggestion she made now might be the cup of poison wine before she died of thirst. But her intuition told her that she had no way out. After struggling for a few breaths, reason finally overcame her intuition. Lu Ye thought that his fire control technique was about to be full, and he might be able to control the flames of the furnace. Even if it was just a little, it would be enough for him to survive. Saint, there's an old saying in our hometown, once bitten by a snake, you will be afraid of the rope for 10 years. I refuse. Niuiao looked at Lu Ye in disbelief. She was a female cultivator with top looks and talents. In the yin-yang sect, there were countless suitors. Unexpectedly, she took the initiative to propose and was rejected. After hesitating for a moment, she reached down with her soft and boneless jade hand. She was shocked at first, and then gritted her silver teeth. Humph, Brother Dao is a first-class liar. Lu Ye's face was embarrassed and almost broke. He didn't expect that the saint of the yin-yang demon sect could do such a thing. Feeling the soft boneless touch and the amazing charm coming from behind, Lu Ye almost couldn't control himself. The fire in the furnace was getting more and more terrifying, and Niuiao's eyes were more anxious. She spoke again. Brother Dao, I am willing to swear a Dao heart oath. Everything I say is true. If it is false, my Dao heart will collapse and die. As the voice fell, a familiar Dao rhythm flashed by, and the Dao oath was completed. Seeing her like this, Lu Ye reluctantly believed that what she said was true, so he said, pass the secret technique to me, I will make my own deductions. Niuiao pinched him hard, and then transmitted the secret technique to Lu Ye's ears with her spiritual consciousness. The secret technique was only a few hundred words in the whole text. Lu Ye only carefully pondered it 7 or 8 times, and he was sure that what Niuiao said was true. So she nodded and said, in that case, why not give it a try? Seeing him agree, Niuiao's originally anxious mood suddenly became a little unhappy. It was obviously you who took advantage of me. But why did you agree so reluctantly, as if you had suffered a great loss? But now was not the time to delve into this point. She reminded him, Brother Dao, take out the heaven and earth flowing slurry. You and I will take it first, and then perform the secret technique to resist the flame refining while absorbing the heaven and earth flowing slurry to the maximum extent. Hearing this, Lu Ye had no objection. He took out a jade bottle from the storage bag and drank the heaven and earth flowing slurry in one gulp. The taste of the heaven and earth flowing slurry is similar to jelly, but it tastes tens of millions of times better than jelly. Lu Ye felt that what he swallowed was not the heaven and earth flowing slurry, but a mass of warm magma. The magma went down his throat and finally fell into his stomach. Then a huge but gentle energy burst out, sweeping his whole body in the blink of an eye. Every cell seemed to be cheering. I'm ready, come on, dear friends, please be the first to order. Please order first. Please order first. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.